Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Southfield Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered as a community meeting. There is one opportunity for public participation during the meeting, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will listen to comments but may not respond during the meeting. If you wish to address the board, please submit a comment card immediately. I'll wait until the reverb fixes because my mic just went out. No? Can you hear it? Okay. Do you want me to turn my mic off? It's like an SNL skit. I don't want to start because it's not stop. Roll call, Ashanti Bland, Board President.
Good evening, Yvette Ware Duvall, Vice President.
Good evening, Leslie Lovesmith Thomas, Board Secretary.
Good evening, Talisha Bell, Board Treasurer.
Darrell B. Joyce, trustee.
Amani Johnson, trustee.
Julian Holloway, trustee.
Good evening, Michaela Beckman, Student Board Representative.
We have Dr. Green, Superintendent, along with Mrs. Carolyn Foster taking notes, and the rest of the EDN staff. I did it. I will ask that we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I want to start today's meeting off by first congratulating our board secretary, Leslie Lovesmith Thomas, on a successful election. She has been elected for another 6 years with us. I'd also like to recognize trustee-elect Nicole Denson is in the audience. Would you please stand? Congratulations. She will be sworn in effective of January of 2025. So we'd like to welcome her to the Southfield Board of Education. Can't wait to put you to work. We have a couple of board matters that are pending. The first of which, report card marking is over. I'm going to say it again to all the parents watching. The card marking is over. Your children's report cards are in MyStar. If you can't get in MyStar, call somebody, email someone, phone a friend. If you are looking at Schoology, please be aware that there may be a difference between your child's grade in Schoology and MyStar, so please trust the information that is in MyStar. A couple of things, we have parent-teacher conference coming up at pretty much all of our schools, so please check your school's website. If you don't see it on the website, please contact your main office to find out those dates. Secondly, thank you to this board. Many of us went to a CUBE conference, which is a conference for urban school districts. It was in Las Vegas this year. Which was a little trying because we were only there for 3 days and had to get used to the 3-hour time difference. But nevertheless, it was a good conference. Thank you to all who participated. Our vice president will give us a readout on that. Other than that, I will yield. Oh, thank you. I was going to bring this up a little later, but I will say that Thursday we have a school safety forum with Chief Barron. And I want to give a shout out to the Area Council PTA, their president, Celestine Sanders, who has worked tirelessly to get this. We've heard all of your calls, emails. What this school safety forum will do, it will provide information straight from the chief of police to inform you how to safeguard your children from reaching us. Because once you reach us, normally you're coming to us for expulsion. It will also go over the code of conduct, how to navigate bullying, social media, because please understand that what your children do on social media usually makes it back into our buildings. Secondly, a lot of parents don't realize that when your children leave our campus, based on how many feet away, they are still considered in school, and they can be held accountable for what they do in those situations. That's away games, dances, anything where you're representing the school. So please come out to our school safety forum. It is on Thursday, November 14th at 6:30. Did I get that right? 6 o'clock. Don't be late because I messed up. It's 6 o'clock. And again, Chief Barron will be speaking to everyone about that. So I am going to pass it along to our Vice President now, who will give a readout on CUBE.
Good evening, everyone. The majority of us, as Board President mentioned, we did go to CUBE and attend quite a few sessions, as well as listen to a couple of our keynote speakers. So one of the reports that I would like to share is from our trustee, Holloway. Information provided by keynote speaker, presenter Michael D. Smith, who is the Chief Executive of AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps states national members engage in a direct service activities such as after-school tutoring, home building, capacity building activities such as volunteer recruitment for organizations that they serve. After successful completing their term of service, AmeriCorps state and national members may be eligible for an education award up to $6,095 or equal to the Pell Grant for each year in which they serve if it is approved. The education award can pay for additional college or graduate school courses. It can also pay off existing student loans. Full-time students typically complete 1,700 hours of service over 11 months as they receive living allowance, health benefits, and child care during their term. I also have a brief report from our Board Treasurer, Talisha Belt. Retention rates was one of the sessions that we had also attended. We talked about retention rates, volunteerism in our district, community service opportunities, and again, leveraging that AmeriCorps. Just a brief couple of bullets from myself. One of the sessions that I attended was strategic collaboration. Partnership and management does not always have to be in a relationship. However, getting the task done and the work is where we all stand. Policies need to be equitable for students, and it can provide focus, clarity, provide support, inform, engage, communicate, and mitigate. These are some of the points from a few of the sessions that we have had. For your support and sending us.
Thank you, VP. Board Secretary?
Yes, thank you all, Board, for the congratulations. Thank you all, audience, for the congratulations, and thank you for those viewing and the community members who have entrusted me with another term, another 6 years. I look forward to continuing this work as an educator. One thing I learned, as you will always learn, typically learn during campaign time, is how little people really understand not only the role of the Board of Education, but actually many offices, sometimes even the offices that certain candidates are running for, sadly. And so I say that to say that I'm going to make it my mission. I know that over the last 10 years, I've attempted to make it my mission to educate the community on what it is the Board of Education actually does. And so that is something that is top of mind for me. This term is to ensure that as I'm out in the community partnering with different organizations, that we all as a community just better understand the different roles, particularly as it relates to the Board of Education here in our community. So as it was mentioned, I did attend CUBE along with some of the sessions that were also mentioned. I had the opportunity to attend one of the largest charter schools. As you know, every state isn't built the same, and so some states' charter schools are their public school or the largest public school they have. And so the school I attended, their main focus was on providing alternate routes, and so they had 3 tracks for the scholars to achieve their diploma. And so I was really intrigued because many of their tracks really focused on career readiness and how to meet the scholars where they were. So just for an example, one of the tracks these young people was really, they developed it because they wanted to capture the dropout rates. And so in this specific track, scholars were able to attend campus more so like a college campus. These young people were able to complete most of their courses online, come to campus whenever they needed, say, the internet or to eat, to take assessments. And what was really interesting was this track allowed these young people, or young adults, I'll say, the opportunity to participate with their daycare, because they found many of these young people were young people who were also moms or teenage parents. And so they had a special and unique need that they were able to find. So that's just a small example, but the overall meat of what I took away from that was how this district found a way to meet just about every scholar they encounter at their need, and develop tracks and policies and programs to support the community they had. And so that's something that I think that every district could really take a look at. You know, we don't always have to continue to do things a certain way just because it's been done that way. We need to look at who's in front of us, what are the needs, and how can we meet them. And so that was something I really took away from CUBE, and I'll be looking for, as we move forward with our policies, to continue to embed that mindset into the work we do here. Thank you.
Anyone else? Board matters? Hearing none. Next, we have our reports of our student board representatives. I would like to publicly thank the City of Lathrop Village for the first time in probably 10 years. We actually were able to read out at the council meeting, and that is due to a level of partnership that we are committed to with both the City of Southfield and the City of Lathrop Village. On our behalf, our Southfield A&T representative went before the Council of Lathrop Village, and he reported out. He did an amazing job, so I'd like to say thank you. We have been invited back this month, and we will get all that information to our board reps, and we are waiting to hear from the City of Southfield so we can start reporting there also. So hopefully, some of you will start seeing us at city council meetings, and for the most part, this is the goal of having our student board representatives, getting them to advocate for themselves and getting in the habit of going in front of their leadership to start to advocate for their community as a whole. So we will start today, ladies first, with Michaela Beckford reporting out for the UK-12.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
The introduction is appreciated. Thank you so much. So for November, here are the past as well as current events at University K-12 occurring this month. So first, I will start off with University as a whole. On October 9th was Meet the Teacher Night, where our Charger families visited our school to meet the teachers, learn about classroom expectations, and understand the curriculum. This is always a great opportunity to establish the open communication between teachers and parents, fostering a strong partnership for student success. On October 11th, the students and faculty wore pink for the annual Pink Out to raise awareness for breast cancer. On October 14th was our Picture Day retakes. The 15th was a PTSA meeting. And also, October is National Bullying Prevention Month, and to celebrate unity, the Chargers decided to wear orange in solidarity. October 29th was our Fall Festival planned by student leadership clubs such as Student Council, National Honor Society, and our House Crew Leaders and the PTSA. At this spooktacular event, we had a lot of special events such as a haunted house, costume competitions, trunk or treat, live music, exotic zoo animals, and Smiley the Clown. The activities were separated by a grade level, with the high school entitling theirs Fall Festival, middle school having a Boo Bash, and elementary celebrating with their own version of Oktoberfest. Special thanks to the drama department for setting up their very own haunted house. It was a huge success, and they put in a lot of hard work. Also, special thanks to the PTSA and parent volunteers for the trunk or treat and overall letting the night run smoothly. As stated earlier, October 9th, the card marking 1 ended, and on October 31st, All Hallows Eve, where students and faculty got to wear their costumes and show off their creativity with out-of-the-box characters such as Men in Black, Kamala Harris, Tyler the Creator, Frank Ocean, Mario and Luigi, Plague Doctors, and even a Lunchable. On November 11th through the 13th will be our challenge days. And just as a little, info spiel, Challenge Day is an organization that helps young people learn to connect to one another and their teachers in a way like no other. This day-long event also gives teens and adults tools to tear down separating factors and come to an understanding that we as a collective have more things alike than we do different. I firmly believe that the skills learned will have a strong impact on me and will be skills I carry on throughout my life. It truly inspires me to help create an accepting, loving, and respectful community using highly interactive and energetic activities and constant seat swapping. Challenge Day encourages everyone to explore and make new connections. The day begins with an uplifting cheer, music, and games. This made the students and even the teachers feel more relaxed and comfortable and safe in the group. And having us swap seats really removed all the stereotypes and labels that have been placed on us, such as social pariahs, populars, football players, smart people, etc. Our facilitators also spent a portion of the morning talking about healthy expression of emotion and the negative effects of keeping our feelings inside. During the afternoon, we dove into the issues of social oppression and really dove deep into the impact of oppression and how it has such a strong hold on each and every one of our lives. By the end, we had the opportunity to take a stand against it and apologize to anyone we may have hurt in the room and thank anybody who's been there for us. It was truly an awakening day. And take it from a 17-year-old high schooler with the typical moody teenager persona, Challenge Day works. I did not expect to tune into the emotions that I did and talk about the experience that I've had, or even learn some of the things about my fellow teachers and peers. This day truly built empathy and respect for one another, and I know I've created bonds with this group that will never go away. Now, with the elementary events, on October 9th, the third grade class had a great time at the Detroit Zoo as a great wrap-up for their animal unit. Middle school events, October 12th and November 8th, the University Lady Chargers from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades scored another win this week. Congrats to them. With their season coming to a close, the Lady Chargers reigned undefeated throughout the season. Congrats to Coach Washington and Blackwell. And for high school events, we have on October 15th, the A&T volleyball team had their senior night where they blew Pontiac out of the water after an initial soul-crushing loss, but the Warriors never give up, and that's what makes them Warriors. On October 17th, the senior pinning, where our graduating seniors were formally recognized alongside their loved ones/mentors who pinned them as a symbol of support and pride. We were even graced with heartfelt speeches from our class board president and vice president, Uriah F. and Kristen B., and our class sponsor, Mr. Masiak and Dean Bolden. October 18th, the volleyball team took a trip to MSU to watch the professional volleyball game against Nebraska. It was a great bonding experience. October 22nd, 23rd, 28th, and 29th was the PSAT and NMSQT College Board testing. On October 24th, our seniors and juniors were bused to Southfield A&T, where we got to see colleges in-state and out-of-state like Central, U of M, and Hampton. It was a great opportunity to encourage our juniors as they prepare for important decisions they will need to make in the future, and support our seniors as early action and early decision deadlines come to a close. On October 25th, one of the University High School clubs has gained more and more traction, this club being the African Student Association, led by Crystal S. and Tammy Lola O. They had a Guess the Celebrity Ethnicity, where we learned the ethnicities of some of our favorite artists. University students show their pride by representing their chosen side between the U of M or MSU in anticipation for the upcoming game that passed. And November 2nd, the senior class took a trip to Hollow Weekend at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, where the park transformed itself with spooky decorations, haunted houses, scare zones, and costume actors roaming the grounds, creating a mix of thrills and chills for guests. I will say that the park takes a great care in designing a portion solely for the Halloween experience, catering to a wide range of visitors. It was truly a great time, and even though the park is extremely big, it was always a treat to see some of my friends and peers walking out of the scare zone with pale faces and shaky hands. not sponsored. November 7th, our senior class put together a donut and cider fundraiser, and it was a great way to stay in the fall spirit while helping cover some of our expenses. I also have to give a special shout out to the debate team led by Tammy Lola O and Dalen M for their achievements as double octa finalists, where they went 5-1 in the prelims, and they received the 13th seed out of 110 teams. For those who aren't seasoned to the debate terms, being seeded only happens when you advance to the elimination round. So when they made elimination pairings, the highest seed debaters and the lowest seed debaters were held. And it was at U of M, which is the 5th largest national tournament. Well done to both of them. For upcoming events, we have our parent-teacher conferences tomorrow, where there will also be a food truck rally with special appearances from Wetzel's Pretzels and Egg Roll Divas, so come and get your pretzels. And on November 14th, AP exam payments are due. Along with that, the Michigan First Credit Union will be returning to set up its banking pop-up for another year. The first 5 new signups with $20 deposits will receive a special surprise. November 15th, student council applications are due, and November 27th, Thanksgiving break starts. And since I will not be back until December, I would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Trustees, are there any questions for Ms. Beckford this evening? I think you gave us everything that we needed to know, and I appreciate that. And I hear none from the trustees. So we will move to Southfield A&T and our student board rep, Mr. Eric Spraggins.
Good evening. I do want to acknowledge my administration team who's here today, Mr. Reese, Ms. Kagans, Ms. Patterson, and Ms. Denham. Usually when you see all 4 of them, it means business, so it's nice to see them in the crowd. I'll start off with our senior updates for the class of 2025. Senior dues option 2 for senior dues, which includes your cap and gown and diploma cover only, is now available on GoFan. Please use the provided QR code to purchase senior dues by December 6th. Our yearbook sales are on sale for $75 until December 1st, after which the price will increase to $85. We encourage students to purchase early to lock in the lower price. And our senior fundraiser, which will be occurring tomorrow, will be a skating party. We'll be hosting a senior fundraiser skating party on November 13th at Northland from 6 to 9 p.m. Congratulations to Angel Yu, who have been named the winner of the World of Soft Robotics No Pro Skill Builder, earning a $100 Amazon gift card. We are incredibly proud of Angel's accomplishments, and congratulations to her once again. College and Career Update, FAFSA Financial Aid Workshop. The College and Career Center have arranged for representatives from University of Michigan Office of Financial Aid to visit and discuss FAFSA and the financial aid process. This session will be held on Wednesday, November 13th, tomorrow, from 12:40 to 1:40 p.m. in room D201.
I'm going to stop him. Run that back, because for those parents that are watching, sometimes your children will skip out on this type of resource because you don't know about it. But I don't know how many parents have called me and said, can you help us with the FAFSA? So I'm going to ask our representative to give the information for this free informational during school hours. That means your kids don't have to come back. It's during school. I don't know how to impress upon people how important it is to get the FAFSA right. A lot of students, and I see our Lawrence Tech student shaking his head because a lot of students miss out on money and timing because they did not do the FAFSA right. So when you talk about resources, here's one inside of the school. It's going to be tomorrow for all of those parents, so put it in your kids' phone to remind them that at this time, this is where they need to be. So I'm going to not interrupt you unless you say something else of pertinent information, but if you could repeat that and put an emphasis on the time in which they need to be there. Thank you.
The College and Career Center have arranged for representatives from the University of Michigan Office of Financial Aid to visit and discuss FAFSA and the financial aid process. This session will be held tomorrow from 12:40 to 1:40 p.m. in room D201. Recent educational activities. Our Warrior students visited a local apple orchard where they learned about agriculture practices and how the orchard reuses produce to enrich the land. Students also observed cider making and explored the different varieties of apple grown in Michigan. Our art department and students in Miss McNee's class, drawing and painting classes, created a clay magnet inspired by Michigan flora. These pieces will be exchanged with students across the country as part of a collaborative project fostering culture and artistic exchange. Athletic recap, fall sports wrap-up, girls golf. Our girls golf team wrapped the season of growth with a new team. We look forward to seeing their progress next year. The boys tennis team, led by seniors and supported by new freshmen, advanced to the second round in regionals. David Jones went undefeated in singles, showcasing the team dedication and growth. Our football team started and ended the season with a strong wins. With dedicated coaches and underclassmen, Coach McKenzie is gearing up for exciting next season. Coach Stanzi cheerleaders, with her 15 years of experience, are preparing for the competitive cheer season. We're excited to watch them defend their title. Our boys soccer team made impressive strides this year. They also held their first summer camps between November, building a love for the game under Coach Show's leadership. The girls volleyball team, with a new coaching staff and players, will compete in districts on November 4th. Coach Washington continues to inspire the team with warrior spirit. Winter sports tryout. As fall sports come to a close, winter sport tryouts are now underway. Girls basketball tryouts for grade 9 through 12 will be on November 18th and 19th in the new gym. Bowling team, varsity, and junior varsity tryouts for boys and girls and boys will be on November 8th and 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. Coach Q, the athletic director, will have more information or check the screens around the school for location details. Boys basketball tryouts for grades 9 to 12 took place on November 11th, which is today. Wrestling tryouts are currently underway. I also would like to recognize Mr. Reese because he hosted for seniors and for people who are 16 and 17. It was an election registration that we did, and we were proud to know that a bunch of students who did register to vote did actually vote in this election. Thank you, and that concludes my board report.
So before I open this, there is something that our student board rep from Southfield A&T did during this election, and unfortunately, we couldn't post the pictures because we didn't own the rights to them. But I think it's important when you talk about leadership and what these students do. So Eric let me know, he said, I worked VP Kamala Harris event. And then I said, you did? And he said, yeah. And then he showed me a picture of him in the paper. I said, well, what'd you do? He said, I did whatever they asked me to do. I said, okay. He said, I think I'm going to work the next rally with President Obama. I said, really? I said, what are you going to do there? Then he said, I'm going to be a volunteer coordinator. I'm going to help with logistics, guiding people, leading the VIP, so on and so forth, wherever I'm needed. And one thing that I can say about great leaders is they go wherever they're needed. And so I just want to recognize you because on top of you being a student and everything you do with NAACP and what you do here, you really are becoming a true advocate for your community, and you are a servant leader. So I'd like to say thank you for representing us well everywhere you go, and we are proud of you. Trustees, any questions?
Can you repeat the fundraiser, the skating fundraiser? When is that? I just might. I love skating.
Okay, yes.
The skating party will be tomorrow at Northland from 6 to 9 p.m.
Let's shoot the duck.
Thank you.
And another thing about Southfield A&T that I wanted to make people aware, I also get comments from parents that run into me and they say, hey, can you get me in touch with the lady with the raspy voice that goes to the mic all the time? And I said, oh, Miss Snyder. I said, yeah. So I just want to say, when you hear Ms. Snyder talking about all these extra ways that we can involve CTE and the partnership between her and the staff, it's those FAFSA things, it's those extra wraparound services. So I just want to say thank you to that school because it is very important. I've heard a lot of high school seniors say, I didn't know what to do because I didn't know who to go to in the school. So having that is huge. So I just want to recognize you and recognize them for actually having that resource. I know you guys are in the midst of end-of-year things, and so if you would like to leave now, please do so, and thank you for your reports. As they are making their exit, the next thing that we're going to have is the report of the superintendent. Drive home safe. The next thing we're going to have is the report of the superintendent. And the first thing on the agenda for the report of the superintendent is a presentation by Plante Moran. And if you've listened to me or anyone on this board, oftentimes I say, what's the process? I'm very process-driven. The board has recognized that we definitely have some improvements in process. And so I'd like to thank our owner's rep, TJ. I reached out to her. I was leaning in some of my resources, trying to figure out who can help with this process, actually installing and enlisting the process of creating a process in Southfield Public School District. And I asked her on a Monday. I think she got back with me on a Wednesday. And so this presentation is going to be the beginning of this district actually having documented process, standard operating procedures, and work procedures. When we talk about being held accountable, how can you hold anyone accountable and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, and how they're supposed to do it? If you don't have anything written down, written in stone, I don't think it's fair to ask somebody to be held accountable to something that changes every day, sometimes can change within the hour. And so this is our this is our way of beginning the process of implementing process and actually documenting it and getting feedback and guidelines from those who do the work every day. And so, Dr. Green, I will allow you to introduce Plante Moran.
Thank you. Good evening. Joining us this evening, we have three representatives from Plante Moran. Just Plante Moran, yes. It's okay. I think they're accustomed to it. And I want to clarify that Plante Moran in and of itself has multiple divisions within the organization. So this team in particular will explain their expertise and why they are here with us this evening. But I do want to differentiate between the Plante Moran component that we have for our owner's rep with the bond and that of Plante Moran, who does our financial audits every year. So that being said, I'll turn it over to you, Matt.
Dr. Green, appreciate that. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Bowden. I'm a partner in Plante Moran's Risk and Accounting Advisory Services practice. So we're actually part of Plante Moran's Management Consulting Division, helping with just general client advisory, business advisory, et cetera. I am our practice's public sector leader. That, meaning I lead all of our public sector engagements, and I particularly specialize in K through 12 consulting services. So we're here to present our proposal for developing standard operating procedures on behalf of Southfield Public Schools, as well as address any questions or comments that you may have. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Gabby Wafer and Bailey Call Wu, who will be the engagement managers on this particular project, to take us through these.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Wafer, or you can call me Gabby. I'm a manager in our Risk and Accounting Advisory Services practice. As Matt introduced himself, he's a partner, and then we also have here Bailey. She's also another manager in our practice. So just to give you a little bit more about our practice, so as Matt mentioned, we are from Plante Moran's management consulting team, and then our specific practice is the Risk and Accounting Advisory Services, which we typically call RAS. So our practice specializes in IT and financial and operational internal controls, and we have extensive experience serving the public sector. When we say public sector, we mean counties, municipalities, K through 12, and our team, especially, we specialize in K through 12. So our specific practice brings together that risk and business controls and policies standpoint. So we're looking forward to working with you all. So the scope of services, so what we'll be performing. So the first thing we'll be performing in our project is first identifying and housing all existing SOPs. So from our understanding, we know that there is some existing process documentations for the processes we're looking at, but it may not be the comprehensive process, or the process documentation may be outdated. So first we're going to take a look to see what exists currently, and then we're going to prepare some new standard operating procedures. And when we're developing those operating procedures, we're going to be identifying internal controls. And when we say internal controls, for example, if someone prepares something and then someone independent of that person reviews it, that's an internal control. So we'll identify those internal controls and also document those internal controls so that the district will have a listing of what these controls are in those specific processes. In addition to developing the SOPs and identifying internal controls, we'll also develop any best practice recommendations. So as we're learning more about the existing procedures that are in place, we may notice like, hey, actually someone is preparing this, but no one's reviewing it. We may make that recommendation to implement an internal control or help improve that process as we're learning more about the processes. And then the last thing that we'll be doing some kind of like workshops with the folks that are involved to deliver a training to help them understand what the new SOPs are, and gain that feedback from the stakeholders who may be performing those procedures to say, hey, does this make sense? What's the feedback from them? So we'll be doing that as well. In addition to the process documentation of documenting the internal controls, there's also an option for us to also develop flowcharts. I know some folks are visual. I'm a visual person. I like flowcharts. So that is an option for us to also document flowcharts in addition to the standard operating procedures. Any questions so far?
I have a question. How would the standard operating procedures align to the administrative guidelines, or would these support the administrative guidelines?
Great question. They would support the administrative guidelines,
Okay.
and they would work in tandem.
So I'll hand it over to Bailey to describe what our approach and timeline looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. So approach and timeline, these are really the work steps in which we'll deliver all those deliverables that Gabby just mentioned. And really, in total, it should take about 10 weeks timeline. That's what we're estimating. And should be broken out into these 4 different phases that you see here. So the first phase being discovery and kickoff. We will have, we will firstly collect all those existing documentation, policies, narratives, and review those for the comprehensiveness and what other gaps may be within those. And then we'll have a meeting with the key stakeholders of all these different processes that you see listed here in the second phase to understand that everyone knows what it is that we're doing, what are the key objectives, what is our timeline, and what's needed from them for us to really achieve. From there, we'll do walkthrough meetings, and that's when we sit down with each of the different department heads and actual performers in each of these processes to understand what is the day-to-day duties and how do they perform all these day-to-day duties. And so in scope, we have hiring as one of the areas, human capital, payroll processing, and contracted services as well. That should take about 4 weeks there, and while we're doing all these walkthrough meetings, we will also be documenting them as we're having our meetings and having that live feedback back and forth with them. From there, like I said, we will make sure all of the SOPs are drafted and then develop our internal control register, that listing of the different controls and risks that Gabby had mentioned earlier, and then identify any gaps within what the current process is, give those best practice recommendations. And then the last phase, in the last 2 weeks of that 10-week timeline, we will then deliver those SOPs with management, get any final feedback, make any final touches from there, and then have those training workshop sessions with all the folks. Questions? Any other questions?
Everybody go. I'm hearing it all, so have at it.
Okay, first, I am very, very, very excited about all of this. But the question that I have is the implementation phase, which is at the end, week 9 and 10. Have we identified someone that will be accountable for implementation on our end? Because this is great to go through all of this and get all of these processes in place, but actually implementing them and having the accountability is.
It's very clear that we both work in finance.
Oh,
Because I was gonna mention, mainly for the community, that while they can do all this work on the front end, now there's a level of accountability on the back end. And so the Office of the Superintendent ultimately would be responsible for actually putting this into action. So basically, the bottom line is, they're providing a tool, you have to use it. And the tool is very dynamic. I'm very familiar with this process, and from what I can see based on the timeline, if we look at 10 weeks, that means that roughly by March, give or take, this team, as far as internally, should be calling each of their departments, members, stakeholders to the table to talk about implementation, and they need to give their own timeline, whether it be implementation starts in the new school year or July 1, which is our new fiscal year, whatever that looks like, that would be the Office of the Superintendent's job to do. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody heard that clearly, because I know that that's always the roughest part about conducting this type of process, is actually watching people do the work. And so while they're going to audit and identify controls and gaps, and I use the word audit loosely in this situation, that would be where the accountability stands.
Thank you. I know we've mentioned before about the website and the intranet. So my concern is, how will the district house this information so that it stays within the district and it can continue to be revised as needed versus starting over?
So I'm going to jump the gun, but I think one of the biggest gaps you guys are going to identify is a system, the systems that we use. I mean, it's pretty much obvious to anyone that operates in this district that we have a lot of systems that don't speak to one another. They aren't being used properly. They aren't being used effectively. And so my assumption is that what we'll get back is that we have a gap in the systems that we're using, and then that's a different conversation, because 9 times out of 10, that's going to mean money.
Correct.
And an investment in something different. But I will yield to the experts and wait until you guys bring us back your full report on that.
If I can add to that, I think that what it will also provide us is areas of duplication, so that we can streamline some of the processes and procedures and stop investing in multiple tools that could really communicate with one another and get that work done.
Questions for this team before they leave?
I have a request, Board President.
Yes, ma'am.
If it is the pleasure of the board, so that we can get started on this process, their full proposal is being passed down as we speak. There is a $49,000 ask for the details of the standard operating procedures. There's an additional $10,000 ask to create the flow charts, given that we are educators and we know that people learn through multiple modalities. I would ask that we consider approving both that of the detailed standard operating procedures as well as that of the flow charts.
Trustees, you've heard the ask of the superintendent for a total of, is that $59,000?
That is correct.
I will say this, $59,000 will secure that one of our biggest issues, and that is not having a process to hold people accountable to, is resolved. And I think it's a small price to pay to have some guidance and a standard to operate by. The superintendent has asked that we make this report actionable. Do we have a report number for this, since it is just in the report of the superintendent?
6332.
The ask is to make report 6332 actionable. Is there a motion on the floor?
I motion that.
Oh, wow.
Support.
Who did it first? It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
This with number 10, with the fee adjustments. Just want to make sure that we'll be made aware if there's any, we need to make any adjustments for any more expenditures for this. Okay.
Trustees, you've heard Trustee Belk. We will be made aware if there are any adjustments to the fee of $59,000 for this standard operating procedure creation. Is there any other discussion?
Board President.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that Secretary Smith-Thomas likes to know the funding source noted on the document, so this will be coming out of general fund. Thank you.
Board Secretary, whenever you're ready, please call for the vote.
Trustee Belk?
Yes.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway? The reason, please. Reason.
Is that I would like to go, at least have an, time to look this over. I have no idea where this came from. I mean, I'd like to look at it to see, just get an idea of what I'm voting for.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Ware-Dubois?
Yes.
6 yes, 1 no.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Board President.
Thank you.
And thank you, trustees, for considering making that actionable this evening. Next is a presentation brought to us by the Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology administrative team. One of the things that we consistently hear is that of the perception of Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology, and we wanted to bring forward the administrative team to share factual information on what is occurring inside of our comprehensive high school. So coming to the podium now, as previously introduced by our student board rep, you have Principal David Reese, along with his associate principals, Ms. Kelly Patterson, Ms. Aaliyah Kagans, and Ms. Gwendolyn Denham.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm David Reese. I'm your proud principal at Southfield A&T, and I'm here with my entire administrative team. I have Mrs. Kelly Patterson, my assistant principal, Kagans, another assistant principal, and Gwendolyn Denham. Assistant. Of course, they're here to monitor my time on this microphone. All right. So basically, Dr. Green already got ahead of me a little bit about conversations about our narrative at A&T. I'm so proud to be your principal because when I found or got the opportunity to work in this job, I understood the labor of love that it takes to be your leader of this building, and I'm so proud to be a part of our journey. So right now, as you can see, we currently have a 90% graduation rate. We also have different academies that we spoke about earlier about transitions as far as CTE, work performance, and understanding what the community needs as far as the future workforce. We have a robotics team that's nationally recognized when you're thinking about future engineers of the world. And our band and performances, of course, we want to grow because we're the School of the Arts and Technology. So in our conversation today, we're going to talk about increasing communication, improving building culture, and our academic growth. As you know, when I became your principal, we had a lot of stuff that we had to talk about, and a lot of concerns. So we're trying to constantly work and think about ways to show you that it can happen. If you have a positive attitude and you want to work and support young people, this is a great job to have because it'll keep you up, it'll keep you active and motivated and thinking outside of the box to bring about change. So, our first step was increasing communication. So I'm proud to report that we currently have a newsletter that we provide to our parents in our community once a month. We also have a virtual parent meeting, which I enjoy. I do it, and it's an opportunity for parents and families to hear information in real time. They get a chance to ask me the difficult questions, like you may do tonight. And it's an open forum to let them know that we are totally transparent on what we're trying to do to provide a great education. But also, I'm so proud to acknowledge our PTSA that's here today. Because when I became your principal, I couldn't believe it. A school with such great history like Southfield, we didn't even have a PTSA. And now we have over 50 members, 50 paid members. And can we give you a great hand for being our president? We have our president, Ms. Finley.
That went to
That's gonna help me.
Southfield Lathrop, by the way. I just want to point out, that is a charger of the class of 98,
All right.
spreading joy to Southfield arts and technology.
All right, and so I will give that up to Ms. Bland because she wanted me to become David again because I'm moving too robotic, and I know, Dwayne, I don't know why you haven't looked at me yet and winked at me like, Reese, where are you at? I'm too robotic on this microphone right now, and I'm going to be the principal that you have in your building. So thank you for that, for breaking that ice for me. So, and also, too, we have our virtual counseling meetings because it's all about information that we discussed earlier. Some of the things that people don't hear about because, unfortunately, sometimes social media catches your attention when you see the negative, and we're going to talk about those things, too, the negative physical altercations of our young people. But we have so much in your building that your tax dollars pay for. But there are resources that are untapped. Like earlier we mentioned, Ms. Bland, President Bland mentioned about the career and college readiness. It's in our building every day. Our young people, if they don't know what to do, just go to room D201. And guess what? Kathy Williams and our new representative from the University of Michigan is there to help guide you. It is not just about the university piece, it's about also career trades. But unfortunately, they walk right by it. And so you have to have meetings like our monthly meetings to let you know what's happening. Like, so for example, I don't know if I'm stealing anyone's thunder. See, so you was supposed to. Yeah, the cufflinks. The cufflinks was the sign. All right? All right. So, also, too, I firmly believe, as you can hear from my team, we always repeat the following. The answers are what? That's right, because that's how we feel about what we're doing every day at A&T. We know that we can find the solutions amongst us, and we feel that we have a talented team, a talented group of teachers, and of course, a talented group of students, that we can find solutions that can change our situation and our building culture. So we're so proud of that. And so I'm going to let her talk about it, but I will probably jump back in a little bit later. Because what you're going to see from our wonderful team is how we connect the dots from our 3 focus points. Remember, we talked about increasing communication, we talked about changing building culture, and also, too, the academic growth of our young people. We have a lot to grow, but I'm telling you, the road of construction, the road to success is always under construction, and I know we're on our way with our hard heads, okay? So now, first up.
Good evening. I am Mrs. Kelly Patterson, and I am going to tell you how we are improving the culture and climate. We're starting every day focusing on the whole child. Every day we begin with our seminar, the first 25 minutes of the day. We have a specific item that we cover each and every day in seminar. So it's not where the kids just come in and have a free 25 minutes to have their breakfast. We begin every week on Monday with our awesome principal, Mr. Reese, and the wonderful Mrs. Lightsey, who gives us a mindful moment. And it gets the students on their way to begin to have an awesome week and focus. Then on Tuesday, we do a little woosah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with Inner Explorer. So the kids kind of collect themselves, relax, and then we focus on other things such as grade check-in, Zello, and Navigate 360 or Compass, where the kids do activities based around social and emotional learning. Now, we are improving the building culture. Anyone who has visited us in the past 2 to 3 months has noticed it. Our students are engaged, our students are getting to class on time, the staff is involved. We've had a few exciting activities, such as, a tailgate. We participated in Halloween and things like that. But more importantly, our building itself is clean. It's clean. And the teachers have been communicating with the staff, other staff members, and the administration, letting us know how they appreciate it. No, it's not perfect, but I guarantee you, it is cleaner. We are secure at A&T. We have a wonderful security staff who is working every day to keep us safe, and I'm happy to report that. My turn. All right.
Big things.
Yes, okay. So, the culture and climate, seriously, is what I wanted to focus on and bring to your attention tonight on how we are improving at A&T, and we have a lot to offer, and we are happy that you continue to send your kids to us each and every day.
I have one question about the grade check-in during seminar. Can you explain what that is for parents and for the board that may not know what that means? What is the grade check-in?
So the students can come to the teacher and actually pull their grades up and look and see where they stand. And if they need some extra support, that's their time. Because the Inner Explorer only takes 5 minutes of each seminar period. That's why we are able to do it 4 days a week. And then we focus on the other things.
Parents, your kids have an allotted time during the first 25 minutes of the, seriously, and you have been here with us where parents are looking at their kids saying, you didn't know you had this grade? And no, I ain't have a clue, Mom. Well, AP Patterson says you do. Families, so for those listening and that can pass that along, your children are getting a lot of time to advocate for themselves. That's what that says to me. So I can appreciate that because no one's going to do it for them in college.
Correct.
So they have to get used to doing this. So I do appreciate that you all give them that time. And now I'll let you continue.
I'm just going to wrap it up, but I like to have some additional proof. These pictures are not staged. These were taken during a staff development. I think this is from the first one when we opened the school year up. And I'm happy to say that each professional development that we have held, the teachers have been smiling like this, and they have been showing up instead of calling off that day. Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Denham.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to report on some of the data. And I know a lot of people, I know me, Kagan, well, all of us, we're math. So the data is very important to us. So one of the main things I think we struggled with in these past 3 years was the whole discipline piece. And that was a great concern for most of the parents. So we pulled our data from September to November, from this year and from last year. When I did go on MyStar and I tried to do the year before that, it didn't show me any data, but this is what I have from the past 2. So fighting went from 51 during the last year to 9 this year. Our gang-related activity, which is still fighting, that means it was 2 or more groups against each other, went from 10 to 0. We haven't had any. We sent a strong message, believe me. And then the physical confrontations went from 18 to 5. And I know this is just a year change, but for us, this speaks volumes. And we knew that we couldn't achieve the goals that we wanted until we took care of this situation.
That is a fact.
So overall, it was a 78% decrease all right, and physical confrontations. And then the gang-affiliated fights is down to 0. And we plan to keep that at 0, and we plan to have that decrease grow even more. A couple of things that we did to kind of implement that, we did Warrior of the Week. So we actually pull a kid's name every week that represents the matrix that we created, which is SPEAR. And so it's spearheading change. So a teacher nominates a student that they feel exemplifies that, and then we pull a kid every week. And we have other type of incentives just so that they understand the warrior way, which will give us the results that we've been getting. One of the other things that we looked at was attendance. So I remember my first year transitioning from a teacher, from the classroom teacher to administration, and it was like it was a mall. I mean, literally the kids walked the hallways, or they found places to hide because it's a big building, 250,000 square feet that I'll walk every day. And so the attendance was the big thing, getting them in the classroom. And I would always tell them, we would stop them in the hallway, we can't teach you if you're not in the room. And so we really worked hard on getting our security team together. We got those high-tech cameras, thank you very much, that we keep in line. I know he's going to say something. And Smart Pass. So that's been an excellent contributor too. So the kids know that we're checking, we're monitoring them, we're able to see them, and so we're really staying on top of that. So that gave us a 19% increase from count day last year to this year, which again is a good thing. All right, some more staff members. And that's your principal advisory committee that he is working on. And that's us. So we've tried to create this culture where the kids are not afraid to approach us, that they can laugh and play right along with us. And so they got a real kick out of us skipping down the hallway, saying ease on down the road. So we had a great time, and we had a lot of participation. Staff participated. And so we want to create that culture. And so everyone says it's changed, and I believe it has. Ms. Kagans.
I'm going to stop you. I really don't think people actually realize what you all just said. And I want to give this team credit because, unfortunately, we do have board expulsion hearings, and this team is always here. There's never been a time that their seat has been vacated, whether they're here to tell a story, to advocate for a parent, or just to be here for support and provide us with the information. It has allowed us to trust them when they bring us someone to make sure that we do the right thing for the students who want to do the right thing in the district. So I want to commend you all because the school has made a complete 180. And I don't think a lot of people realize that because you did make the news once. And so they're going to stay with that one. I challenge somebody in this room to send them what we just saw and see if they'll put that on the news. Because that is amazing. To have over a 50% decrease in violence in your school from 1 year is amazing.
78.
And I didn't know the whole number, but anytime I see over 50, it's amazing. And so I just want to commend you, and I want to thank you for actually telling your story in facts, because you can't debate facts. Everybody has their own truth, but you can't debate facts. So I really appreciate what you brought before us, because what you just did was you set a precedent, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. Come on up here, Ms. Kakins.
Board President, and I actually want to reciprocate the appreciation because during those board hearings and all of the different activities that we have at the building, you all actually come and show your support. So we never feel like we're tackling our issues alone. So I want to thank you all also for participating and coming and supporting us as well. We would greatly appreciate it. Oh, sorry.
So you have to wait on Kagans just a little bit longer. Because unfortunately, we had 4 segments, and I'm here for the difficult questions, but we're not running away from it. Because as you can see, we're setting the groundwork to move faster and move stronger, but we really had to address our culture. Because as you know from all of us being in here, and you know, you had an impactful parent, impactful teacher, impactful member in your family, or someone that you look up to, it starts with the relationship. You can't do anything until you attack that. So here we go with the continuing to connect the dots. One thing that we know, a lot of the things that people don't see, and I'm so proud, I mean, I'm telling you, like, they don't understand. Like I said, you see that little snippet on Instagram of some young people having a terrible moment, and those numbers, once again, represent, those are individual. So that wasn't multiple. It was only 9 students, okay? It was individual student. That's why it says individual student data, all right? And so we're so proud of that. And out of that, unfortunately, for that, to break that data down even further, were freshmen. So who haven't had a chance to even be introduced to the culture. And then from the one that she spoke on, the situation, was the other 2. He represented 2 of, you know, from the other one with the poor decision. So what is that? 7, 8 kids. Please understand the work is happening, and we truly appreciate it. And they're starting to feel different. Don't get me wrong, we still got a lot of work to do, because when they hear a lot of arguing, they pull out them camera phones. And we're going to figure this thing out, and we're going to tell them how. I start to call them out. Hey, that's thirsty behavior. You know, why are you trying to just capture this moment and have the best vision of our worst self? All right, but here we go. So to do those things, though, we're currently working on some different things to empower young people. We're starting mentoring programs. We already have C2 pipeline. Student voices are, of course, being lifted in our building. And so these are some of the things that you don't see, like she said, that doesn't meet the paper, but we're very engaged with trying to provide them as much as we possibly can. Because we have to address this. We've seen the study increase, but we're not where we want to be, okay? SAT, for people, this might be like a foreign language for you. The bottom of the scale for each of the different categories in the math and the reading is 200. The top of the scale is 8. So we're working towards to get to where we want to be, but as you can see from our data, we are improving each year, okay, and we're moving forward. It's a little bit slower because there's so many intricate things that go behind in our data that we're going to eventually probably be called out again, because we've already started our conversations with Dr. Green about ways to impact this and provide even more Tier 3 services during the day with our student population. It's going to start with, and also too, an artifact that I will lift, we're having for the first time 3 quarterly common assessments for math and reading. So we're about to start diving in stronger to our data analysis on a building level to make sure that, and I know Dana's probably like, where's Mr. Reese getting all this data analytics from? Because she was one of my students teaching econ. But as I'm speaking on this way, I definitely understand our trajectory is still moving in the right direction, and that curriculum alignment is going to be a strong indicator to move us even faster. Because now that we got individuals in seats, once they get the right type of curriculum exposure, they're going to improve. And another example of that is just, and these are not stage pictures, we're having a tremendous time in all of our feedback sessions with our professional development. As you can see, we're playing around. It was love and feedback from the love and basketball, and just trying to let our hair down, but still talking about some strong instructional things to make our building better as far as the evaluations. Now she's here.
Thank you. So getting back to that academic piece, we've had conversations with our superintendent, Dr. Green, where it has become important that our students graduate with what she's calling a diploma plus. So in addition to just getting there, I won't say just, but in addition to just earning their high school diploma, we're hoping that they also leave Southfield A&T with some additional resources to help them with whatever their career goals might be. So some of those things that we'll attribute to that, we have the 16 different career pathways that were mentioned earlier. A lot of our students are participating in different dual enrollment opportunities. We have different AP classes that are held in the building where students can earn college credit depending on how well they score on those AP exams, and then other certificate programs that the students are going to be taking advantage of. And we've actually, I've actually started to have those conversations with counselors where we're hoping to move to that for this coming school year, where we're going to require students to put a little bit more focus into what they want to do after they graduate to make sure they're earning that diploma plus when they finish. So some of the collegiate connections that we have with OCC, students can take dual enrollment classes through OCC. We also have a really great partnership with Lawrence Tech, where they actually send their professors to our building, so our students never have to leave the building. They never have to pay 1 red cent to actually take college classes. So right now, this program has been going on for 2 years now. Students that are interested in either cybersecurity or game design can actually earn certificates if they start the program in their 10th grade year. That will give them enough time to complete all the coursework. So again, that Diploma Plus, where they're earning their diploma in addition to that certificate, so that when they graduate, they can go right into a job. In addition to those specific certificate programs, students can also take psychology classes through Lawrence Tech. So it was a while when I was an undergraduate, but psychology is one of those classes that's that's one of those core classes that most students have to take to earn their degree. So this is one class, even if they don't want to go into the cybersecurity field, that they can take to save parents money so that they won't have to pay for that class when they get to college. So another really great partnership and opportunity that we have with Lawrence Tech. In addition to that, we have partnerships with Wayne State University. Students can take dual enrollment classes through Wayne State, in addition to our C2 Pipeline program that works with students. The students our C2 Pipeline offers tutoring opportunities to our students. They also take the students on really great field trips to different colleges and universities to give them that exposure before they graduate. So C2 Pipeline and Wayne State has been a great partnership for us. In addition to that, our partnership with the University of Michigan, we've sort of mentioned already in our Career Center in room D200 or D201. We have a person that's employed through University of Michigan that actually helps our students with that college planning for what they want to, or career planning for what they want to do after they graduate. We also have Gear Up, which is a program that has followed our current 11th graders every year since they've been in high school. Now that they're in the 11th grade, they're doing a lot with career exploration, college exploration, so that when they start that college application process in the beginning of their senior year, they'll have a lot of information to kind of help them make that process a little easier for them. And then also with Oakland University, students can take those dual enrollment classes with that university as well. In addition to all of that great stuff that is offered at Southfield A&T, we also have the different 14 career pathways that students can participate in. So this is just a few of them. Our Fire Academy, we mentioned we had our first graduate from the Fire Academy last year that's already, on her way and working in that field. We also have the culinary program, business, engineering, robotics, fine arts, TV production, health sciences. Again, this is just a few of them. There are other ones that are not listed. So again, students have just about every option available to them, and that's the reason why we're really highly encouraging them to pick something so that while they're in high school, they're working towards those goals, their diploma, in addition to these additional career resources, so they'll be more prepared when they graduate from high school. And then I also wanted to give just some untangibles. We've sort of been talking about it throughout the day, where we have people come into the building and they just say it feels different. So I wanted to try to put words to that. And so what I did, I went around and I asked some adults in the building, some students in the building, if they could just share their own perspective on how it feels or how it's changed. So I talked to one of our guest teachers, and this is what she shared with me. As a guest teacher at Southfield A&T, I have observed a calmer atmosphere in the classroom and halls from this year compared to last year. I sense a presence of tranquility and less tension. The students are more focused and self-controlled. I enjoy spending my day at A&T. As a retired IT tech professional, I recognize improvement when I see it. Congratulations. So that was from one of our guest teachers. From a student shared, places in the school were known as the weed area or skipping hallway, and because of the installation of cameras, that is no longer the case. Violence in the school has significantly decreased, which makes me feel safer in the school building. The improved school security in our school has limited considerably the use of drugs, skipping, and other bad behaviors. So she wanted to thank me for reading her excerpt tonight. And with that, I want to just thank you for allowing us to share our story with you.
Trustees,
Yes, yes. What questions may you have from our processing tools we learned from professional development over the summer?
does anyone have anything for the building leadership team from Southfield A&T? Sure.
Not a question, but just a statement that I am very excited to see this presentation and to hear all of these things. And I'm going to remember 78% every time I hear the negativity and just keep promoting 78%. But you guys did an amazing job. Normally I write like a bunch of questions, but even the areas that you're working on, you can tell that you're really working on them. So I just want to say, like, job well done. I have a lot of family in that school. My children have graduated from that school, and I can see the improvements. So very, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
I just would really like to say thank you for all that you've done. I hope that the parents that are listening are here in the audience continue to trust our educators, our administration. It is important that we have you all to support the story, the reality, the facts that are standing before you and those that you've heard. Because without the true story and the facts, we wouldn't have the great school arising. And we do. So thank you all for the work that you've done.
So what I want to do is highlight what good leadership looks like, because that's what you see in front of you. The change came from the leadership because it happens from the top down. When your children walk in a building and they see their leaders present, active, communicating, respecting them as human beings, not looking at them just as children, but as future people that eventually will be taking care of us. That's the respect that you have to give our students. And I have watched the transition. I spent a lot of time in your building. And no problem. And what I can say is this is what leadership looks like. If I could put this formula in a bottle and spread it around the district, I would, because you all have a synergy. But I think that it comes from having a mutual respect of each other. And what has happened from that is your parents give you a different level of respect, and you've earned their trust. I will never ask anybody to trust me blindly, but when you earn someone's trust, then they'll walk with you and not against you. And so I think that's what we've seen at A&T. And you know, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. AP Patterson, I always knew the type of leader that you are, but I think that you found a home in which you can be that. And so thank you for staying, because you didn't have to. And so we appreciate all of you. Ms. Denham, you went from favorite teacher to favorite AP. Mr. Reese, you did leave Southfield Lathrop, where you gained all these skills. And now you are here. And Ms. Kagans, you were just a godsend from the moment that you entered the building.
And Board President, Ms. Kagans actually was a teacher here in the district and then left and went to another district and then came back home. And
Proud alum.
that too.
I do know that you come from the Southfield. You are a Blue Jay, and you do us proud. And so from a Southfield family and Summer Southfield alum, thank you all. You have done amazing work at this school. I wish they would report out on this, because this is what really matters. So I just wanted to make sure you guys heard that from us.
One last piece, because I'm following your lead.
Yes, sir.
No. It's important. 240 freshmen,
Yes.
Michigan Career Quest, on the 18th.
Oh, wow.
19th. Make sure we continue to spread the word. I'm
For
telling
sure.
you guys, we are really have a plan with your young people, and we're
That's awesome.
exposing them to all of the local industrial things that we need, and, you know, technology, medicine, all of those fields.
For sure.
On the 19th.
On the
I'm bringing them
19th.
all down to get their permission slips tomorrow, parents, during second hour. I'm bringing them down, and the information is coming home. 240 seats. That was hard to come by.
I was
We got
about to say,
exposed.
that's a
Yes.
lot of seats. So
240.
parents, you heard them. Your permission slips are coming home tomorrow. Fill them out, sign them, send them back.
We're gonna do another round
Oh.
tomorrow.
They were emailed home previously They're coming back, 240 seats. Let's make it so we have a waiting list. And we have more than 240 that want to fill those seats. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. Good job. Well,
Board President, I just have one remark as it relates to the leadership of the team and their courage to work through the process and to be educated on the process, and the courage to say, we have a need. Is there a policy that can help us meet this need? Because a lot of times people will come to you with a possible complaint or perhaps recommendation without fully understanding or even vetting what the process is. But this team has, they've demonstrated the courage to say and recognize, okay, we know what your job is. Here is the need. Now, can you point us in the direction of a policy so that we could actually partner together to get the work done? So I thank you for that, and I encourage you to continue to do that. Thank you.
thank you. Well, this is gonna be my least favorite part.
Well, this is going really fast.
Legislative updates.
You know,
and
BP, there's so much changing here at the state level and on the federal landscape that I am going to hold my comments until we see what is forthcoming, because we don't know what is forthcoming. There's been a lot of rumors and innuendos floating around, but I'd like to bring you facts. That being said, I would ask that we revisit the Advocacy Institute scheduled to take place in February, because now more than ever, our voice for public education is going to be critical. So I will hold all other comments relative to the legislative update.
I appreciate that because I think there's too much chatter for us to try to go through. Well, this is one that is really good. The Southfield Lathrop.
I will ask the other charger on the
Donation.
end of the table to turn around and hand us the big check behind him. I had the privilege of meeting with the class of 73 and 74 from Southfield Lathrop High School. They were the first and second graduating classes from Southfield Lathrop. This was the remainder of their funds from their 50-year class reunion that they donated back to the district for future classes to enjoy. So thank you to the classes of 73 and 74, of which there were 850 per class.
Yep.
So there
We had a
were,
graduating
and so
class
that
of
puts things in
3,600.
perspective in terms of the district as well. People always say, well, there's this reduction of students. There's a reduction of students everywhere. Families had more than 2 or 3 children back then. And we were producing in both schools close to 1,000 students, graduating seniors every year. So that just shows you the difference and why our footprint is shrinking due to that and a number of other reasons. But it's important to note that they are still very actively engaged in supporting our current scholars. So thank you to the classes of 73 and 74.
And let me just say, they kept their word. And thanks to Mr. James Jackson for coordinating and connecting me with the class of 73 and 74. So on a Friday night, we led a tour of their old building, and here's the first thing they said: nothing has changed. So here I am,
Identical.
class of, and then there they were, class of 73, 74, and here we are in 2024, and nothing has changed. So if nothing else, thank you for passing this bond. I know that the infrastructure issues seem like, oh, they're so bad right now. No, they were bad in 1998. They were bad in 1992. It was just no one did the work all those years. It was just deferred maintenance. And so now we're catching up from 1972 to get all this work done in 10 years. And I have to say that we're on task. So I hope that at least brings a little bit of positive light onto the passing of the bond. We're actually on schedule
We're ahead of
with
schedule.
all of the work that, no, we're not gonna tote that just
Oh,
yet. 'cause
okay, well, we minimized 2 years.
we sped it up a little bit, but we're doing the work. And so thank you to the class of 73 and 74. They told me they were gonna do this. I had no idea they were gonna do it so fast, but I think that was awesome of them. So thanks to all of them. Next, Dr. Green, the update of the sale of properties.
Yes, as mentioned, we do have a larger footprint than necessary for our student population, and it is through your fiscal responsibility that we have several offers on the table. The one that I would like to lift this evening is that of the sale of Brace Letterly on 9 Mile and that of Magnolia. We had an offer, and that offer was rescinded during their due diligence period. We had the second offer come through on them, and I'm pleased to say that their due diligence period has ended, and we are now moving to close on those properties and expect to have those 2 properties closed by the end of this calendar year, not this school's fiscal year. So by December 31st of 2024, you should expect those documents to be with the title company.
Wonderful. And so, as that comes, you will start seeing our signs come down from those schools. So that will be your signal in the community to know that the sale is final and the new ownership will start doing what they need to do to build what they would like to see in those locations. Next, staffing updates. Oh, this is a big one.
It is indeed.
This is a big one.
Wearing multiple hats, we've been working diligently to ensure that we are identifying, interviewing, and filling positions as swiftly as possible with the most qualified candidates. It is very competitive, and many individuals are accepting our offers only to shop them in other districts to see who can get the best offer. But we are pleased to report that we have had progress across the district, and we are continuing to work toward having every position in the district filled. So, Ms. Foster, if you could move it to that of Adler. At Adler, which was our first renovated school this year, we have one ASD teacher, which is currently being filled by a team member. So what that means is, as Secretary Smith-Thomas has lifted in the past, there are programs for alternative pathways to certification. We have an individual in that room that is on one of those pathways to becoming fully certified through that pathway. So right now is on an emergency certification. So we are pleased to be able to utilize those plans that are available to us. There is one resource room teacher that we are in need of at Adler, one ASD paraprofessional, which is for our autistic spectrum disorder, and one speech pathologist. And again, you can see that that is currently being filled by a partner. Therefore, we will not have compensatory services needed for those students at the end of this academic school year. Next school. At McIntyre, we have one Mike High paraprofessional that we are in need of and one 5th grade teacher. However, we are pleased to report that an external candidate has been selected, and that classroom will have a fully certified teacher in that classroom relatively soon after the onboarding process. Next school. Stevenson still has the Spanish vacancy. When I last spoke with them, they were looking at some alternative programming to ensure that our students would have the opportunity to have the foreign language component, and then we have the one social worker position. There is an external candidate that's scheduled to start later this month. In the interim, we have divided the services of one of our other social workers to provide some support to Stevenson until that candidate starts, I believe, with next week, if I'm not mistaken, that person, Monday, okay. At Bernie, we have one ASD vacancy, again, that's the autistic spectrum disorder, one EI vacancy, that's emotional impairment, and 2 EI paraprofessional vacancies, again, both being in emotional impairment classrooms. We currently have those classrooms staffed by our partners at one of the staffing agencies for substitute services. At Thompson, they have made significant progress. They have one resource room teacher available, posting available. They did just interview someone, so it's my understanding that as of today, the person was recommended for a classroom. One ASD teacher, again, autism spectrum disorder. One first grade teacher, which an external candidate was selected yesterday. One math teacher, an external candidate was selected. One bilingual paraprofessional that has Thompson has our greatest number of ESL students. 3 resource room paraprofessionals and 1 secretary. At Levy, 1 cognitive impairment teacher vacancy and 1 social studies teacher. Those interviews are scheduled. Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology. Again, as you heard the team mention, we met as recent as today. Pleased to announce that they have identified candidates for the instrumental music teacher. We know that Mr. Gary has been doing an amazing job with the marching band, but he also teaches 2 classes there. This will be a full-time instrumental music teacher to cover those, having been vacated by our previous band director. 0.6 vocal music teacher, and even in the conversation with the leadership team today, I said, you are Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology, so why are we looking at a 0.6? They were looking to be fiscally responsible. At this point, I told them we'll make a sacrifice somewhere else, go with a full 1.0 to ensure that you have the proper vocal music support there at Southfield High School. So they are going to be making that offer to that external candidate for a full 1.0 FTE for vocal music. They have the candidate selected for the math position. We currently have a team member filling the ASD position there, again, autism spectrum disorder, and then we have 1 resource room teacher vacancy. At University, we have 2 vacancies, 5th grade teacher and the associate K-5 dean. I would like to lift to our community and to our trustees that I spent a significant amount of time going through applicants with the team. They do have interviews scheduled for this week for both of those positions. We have offered the 5th grade teaching position to 3 separate candidates over the last 2 months, of which all 3 of them have declined the positions for various reasons. If these interviews this week do not work out with these candidates, we do have 2 other pathways of which we are pursuing for that 5th grade classroom. So that is top of mind for us, for our university families.
Let me stop here. So while we know that there's a teacher shortage, and we know that everyone is basically pulling from the same hat, I think what's more important to talk about is how we communicate to parents what's happening in the school for the classrooms in which they do not have a teacher. As a parent who had a 6th grader who entered school with no math teacher and didn't have one for almost 8 weeks, it was frustrating. And so I think Dr. Green will attest to the fact that I wake her up every morning. Sometimes she's already awake, but I call her every morning and I ask her, what are we doing at the U about this 5th grade? And so a couple of things. I'm not a fan of the lack of communication regarding it. Many times I get calls either from parents, I hear it from my students, I hear it from other students about what's happening. And the problem is not just that there's not a teacher, it's how it's being handled. And so let me say that as a board, we have been extremely vocal and adamant about how this is being handled, quite frankly, how the school is being handled currently. But to have 10-year-olds who have classmates that are on certain levels, and then they are doing things that are completely rudimentary, there's a matter of equity. Because these kids are not being serviced the way other children are. And so I want to be real plain. It's unacceptable. And while I do believe that there is a fine line between giving buildings autonomy to do their culture and their thing in their building. At this point, this board has asked that Dr. Green and her team step in to fill in this gap. So I'm sure many of you have seen Dr. Green spending a lot of time at university, because at this point, the school needs help getting this done. And so, Dr. Green, I appreciate you having 3 different avenues to fill this seat, but this was the conversation that I believe as a board we had in this room in March to ask, we know people are retiring, how are we filling gaps? And we did lose a teacher, and I would like to be very fair to this building. We did not learn of that teacher leaving until 2 weeks before the day of school. So you had a 5th grade teacher, you had one to fill every space, and unfortunately, we had one leave and we didn't have much time to get that filled. But the way that this has been handled is unacceptable and is not how we should conduct things, especially when you talk about these little people. Quite frankly, I'm still not a happy camper about where my daughter is because of her lack of having a math teacher for a while, and the new teacher is doing everything that that person can, but it's a gap. And so we're working hard at this, and to also supplement with it for the 5th grade, for those of you who come to parent-teacher conference tomorrow at 5:30?
We're having a meeting with them at 5:30.
At 5:30, there will be a meeting for the whole 5th grade. All parents are being asked to come. Have we identified a room, a space for them?
I don't have that
When you
room
walk
number
into the
committed.
building, you
We'll
will
there
be
to greet them.
guided to a space, whereas parents, you can hear a plan, you can give your feedback, you can get a synopsis of whatever your child has or hasn't had, and then what we plan on supplementing them with further. I have asked that this administration provide free supplemental services that you can actually access, because we've heard you loud and clear. I know that some of you have tried to access the supplements and can't get in. I've heard some people have been asked to pay for those applications. That's not the case. So tomorrow, there will be a space where you can learn how to access the supplemental apps. You will hear the plan, and quite frankly, you can just get it off your chest. And so tomorrow I am asking that all 5th grade parents, considering we have one sitting here on this board, report to that space during parent-teacher conference, because it will be with not only Dr. Green, but I will be there as well as the dean of the school. So in full sincerity, this was not okay, and we are working hard to fix it. Dr. Green?
I think Treasurer Belkis.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree. I just want to make it clear, this is the problem that we're having with communication. As a 5th grade parent in the school that we're referring to, my parent-teacher conference is Thursday. So now you're telling me on Tuesday night that I should report tomorrow for 5:30, and I know nothing about it. I have not received any communication. My parent-teacher conference is on Thursday, but I'm a 5th grade parent. So this is what half of the 5th grade parents are going to say in all of our emails as a board member is going to be filled up tomorrow. Because as a parent, I'm sitting here saying that I have not been communicated to. I am scheduled for parent-teacher conference on Thursday, and I cannot make the meeting tomorrow.
So my ask was that this happened on Thursday, right? Because you had already planned to be there on Thursday.
Well,
So I
no.
said,
Let's go back.
Parent-teacher conference has
Parent-teacher
always been on
conference.
Wednesday.
Parent-
It's on November 13th.
Let me take us all the
Yeah.
way back. We scheduled a district-wide safety summit on Thursday with Chief Barron.
Right.
Some buildings sent out communication about parent-teacher conference simultaneous to the district announcing this major safety summit with our chief based on his availability. at that time, which has
What's
been
the date?
3 weeks ago, October 22nd to be exact, I sent out a save the date to every building in our district, asking that no one schedule anything on the 14th. Buildings then walked back, I know 3 buildings that walked back parent-teacher conferences on the 14th because it was in direct conflict with the safety summit. They scheduled conferences for the 13th and 14th, so to avail themselves for 2 days, they made it the 12th and 13th, which were yesterday today and tomorrow. So it's my understanding that no parent-teacher conferences
It's on
district-wide
Thursday,
were scheduled for Thursday. This is the first that I am hearing, and I will definitely follow up because I know that my inbox will be
Wednesday.
filled as well, that nothing should be happening district-wide other than the safety summit with Chief Barron.
So I did just, I am looking at my email, and I do have an email from the assistant dean that went out today saying that Wednesday, November 13th, our parent-teacher conference is. And trustee, I know you got a lot going on, but we figured out that we couldn't do Thursday at our study session on the 22nd, and that's when we started putting the ball in motion. So you should not have anything for Thursday. If you do,
Again, I am
that's a
scheduled
bad.
for parent-teacher
I will
conference
be
on
following
Thursday, and I scheduled it yesterday, and there was open slots, multiple slots, and it's scheduled for Thursday.
How did you schedule?
Sign Up Genius.
Sign Up Genius?
No, it was something different. It's a new one that they send out.
So this is the issue. And so you almost hit the nail on the head when we talk about process. So unfortunately, all my emails say Wednesday, November 13th. If we have something out there for Thursday, November 14th, it is completely incorrect. And so let's clear that up right now. So I am going to ask if Mr. Jackson, you can get on the phone with the leadership over at the U and let them know that this is happening in real time. I appreciate it. To anyone who is watching, that's the whole reason we did it for tomorrow. Parent-teacher conference was moved to Wednesday, November 13th. So for anyone who has anything scheduled on Thursday, please know, it should not be happening. I mean, it's a problem I can't fix from here, but yes, it is a problem, because that communication was sent, understood.
No,
So we'll fix that.
we'll fix it and have something.
We'll get it fixed. Mr. Jackson is on the phone now. But again, this is the larger problem that is happening. And I won't say that it's happening at every building because it is not. And so I want those building leaders who are watching this meeting to know that this is not a reflection of your leadership, but this is something that we're gonna have to fix. So Dr. Green,
There's another, we have a couple more staffing slides, and I would be
Okay.
remiss if I didn't lift
Please.
our other buildings
Yeah.
for you to make our progress visible. At KLC, we have identified a building leader there that is serving in the interim, so we're pleased that Ms. Smith, the director, no longer has to do dual roles for the time being. So Dr. George has accepted that interim position. Many of you may know
Green,
Dr.
tell them who
George.
Dr. George is,
From the
please.
summer program. She also leads Camp Invention, which is our General Motors program in the summer, and a myriad of other things that she does with our young scholars. So we're pleased to have her there. We do, however, still need a Next Step ASD teacher, a Next Step resource room teacher. And when we talk about next steps, it's important to note that in the state of Michigan, we service students through the age of 26. There are only 5 states in the country that service scholars through the age of 26, Michigan being one of them. So we do need some additional support with our young adults. 3 SXI teacher vacancies currently being staffed by members of the ISSN team. Again, some are on the alternative pathways, and then 2 SXI paraprofessionals. At Bussey, 1 ECSE teacher, again being filled by an ISSN team member, 2 speech pathologists, of which is a top priority. Again, we don't want to have any compensatory services there, 1 ECDD teacher and 2 EIV teachers. That is our staffing update.
Yes, ma'am.
Through the chair. Dr. Green, the ASD students, I see some of them have speech pathologists there. For the ASD students, I think that's what I saw at Adler.
So what, that shows that those are staff members that are needed. So there are, each student in our intense student support network, they have individual education plans. So while some of them are ASD, it doesn't necessarily mean that they need speech. It could be that a student qualifies for ASD and speech. It could be that someone qualifies for CI and speech. It could be that they qualify for OTPT. Every individualized education plan for our students in the intense student support network have their own prescriptive educational program.
Okay, so they don't all have the same therapist? Is that that's what you're saying, right?
That is correct.
So-
They all have individual goals and objectives outlined in their plan.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Director's report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
you
didn't
have
know if,
something else?
I thought Secretary Smith had a question.
Oh, no problem. No, I just wanted to acknowledge you, Dr. Green, for the transparency. Again, courage, when you speak of leadership. While we, as a board are not pleased, and I certainly understand all of the sentiments of Board President as it relates to the buildings and things like that, but to lay out the vacancies in this way, it's courageous to make it transparent. And hopefully those who are seeking employment, where's the camera? Look. You heard all the vacancies we have. Tell a friend, share it. Let's get these filled, but thank you for the transparency.
Thank you. The board asked that we be transparent with everything, and we are trying to provide those pieces. One of the things that came up today, and I was sharing with the board president right before the meeting, there is a program in Michigan, Talent Together, that affords us an opportunity to allow staff to go back and get certifications. Our challenge is that our substitute teachers are third-party providers, so they technically are not our staff members. So we're trying to find some ways around those hurdles as well to offer additional individuals that are interested in working with our scholars opportunities.
We don't have any sponsors or businesses who want to sponsor Southfield Public Schools to assist us with our alternative certification pathways.
I will leave that to the business community. Get out there. And if there are no further questions, Board President, we will have the Bussey Director's report.
Good evening, Board Chair, Superintendent, and trustees. So I'm here to report the November 2024 Bussey Director's Report, and I'm going to be reporting the October numbers. Okay, start with family engagement. We had a pretty busy October. We had our curriculum night, Muffins for Moms. For Muffins for Moms, we had a Rosie Riveter theme. So we, yes, you can do it. So we all dressed up like Rosie Riveter. I'll show some pictures as well. We had our annual Harvest Festival. It was our in-house field trip. And then we have our parents completed our link sheets, and this is all connected to our in-kind. So for Muffins for Moms, we talked about resilience, and we talked about self-care, and parents, the moms and the grandmothers, they shared a lot about what they do for self-care and how they are resilient. For our afternoon session, we had one of our parents present as well. So it was a really great turnout and a really rich event, so it was fun. For the annual Harvest Festival, it was probably one of the best that Bussey has had. It was well organized. It was like going to the apple orchard. Our teachers really showed out. They showcased books and had math and literacy activities that were connected with the books. So if you look at the lower left-hand corner, that was if you give a mouse a cookie. So they had math problems for the children to complete or to figure out and calculate. And then they had cookie jars where the students had to estimate how many cookies were in the jars. And then they had the teachers dressed up and all that. We also had, if you look at the lower right-hand corner, a bad case of stripes. And again, they had activities for kids. We had pumpkins. Each child was able to pick pumpkins. We had the petting zoo, a horse, a train, just a lot of really fun things for the families. It was a nice turnout as well. Next, we go to our enrollment. We're completely full for early Head Start, and we have 7 on our waiting list. For our Head Start, we have 82 slots filled, and we have 46 that we still need to fill. We're still enrolling. And then for GSRP, we have 65, and we have 15 that we still need to fill. For our enrollment, we had, for the month of October, we had 1 Head Start drop. And then for our average daily attendance, we're still going strong. So we had 88% average daily attendance. For our CACFP, or Child Adult Care Food Program, we served 7,333 meals. And then for the number of children receiving support services, we have 4 who have IEPs or IFSPs. We had 1 referral. We have referrals in the works. We have several students in GSRP that have IEPs. We went through, during our professional development, we shared the process for making referrals for IEPs. And so teachers are well aware of the forms and what they need to do, and we do have students slated for that. And then for curriculum instruction, we continue to implement the high scope curriculum. We're almost at the end of our first Core Advantage data collection period. So teachers are doing a nice job with making their targets. We're monitoring that. Our education managers monitoring that. So next time we come, we'll be able to share some of the preliminary data. We had a second cohort of teachers to participate in the Core Advantage training. Dr. Kelly Wash our education manager, did a literacy presentation to our staff. She includes weekly tips for our teachers in our staff updates, and that includes academic, social, emotional, talk about active supervision, lots of different things. Dr. Kelly Wash is also reading in the classroom. We're really trying to emphasize literacy so that she's termed today a reader, tomorrow a leader. So she goes in and reads and works with the students. And then during the month of October, we did our firehouse simulation in celebration of Fire Safety Week. So that was a good opportunity for our preschoolers as well. With staffing, we have 5 assistant teacher vacancies. We are onboarding 2 teachers, and then we have 1 that we interviewed today and were recommended for hire, and we have 1 family service worker. We had a recent resignation of a lead teacher that was in November, though. So, and I have a teacher already that's in the classroom that's certified, that has a bachelor's degree in early childhood. For in-kind contribution up to from July 1st, 2024 through October 31st, 2024, we've collected, it's $75,000, but it's actually more than that. Ms. Rogers has been working on that, so it's a little bit over $90,000 for up until the month of October. So we're really being mindful of that, and we will make our goal this year. And then some of our upcoming events, this is not all inclusive. On Monday, November 25th, we're going to be giving away 16 Thanksgiving baskets to our families. And then on December 17th, we have a pajama party scheduled. So we're going to be, the presenters are going to be talking about bedtime routines with our families. And we have other things coming up as well. All photos and videos included in this presentation feature individuals from whom parental permission has been granted. So we do that at the beginning, and we make sure that we have parental permission at all times.
Public participation. If you wish to, anybody have any questions for the Bussey's director report? Hearing none, sorry, I'm trying to multitask. Yes.
I'm sorry, before you move on to public participation, I did just want to lift, per our conversation and with the vice president, that we are in the business of educating, and very rarely am I not in the district, but there is going to be some time in the spring at which I will be taking a few days off. I'm pleased to share that my youngest daughter, who has been pursuing her education, will be having her medical match day and will be graduating from medical school. And there are a number of other things that will require my presence not be here in the state of Michigan. So I just wanted to put that out there in advance before all the rumors start flying about why Dr. Green is not here. I will be with my daughter celebrating her educational accomplishments.
And what month, can you reiterate what month that'll be, Dr.
Well, medical
Green?
match is in March. Very excited about that, and her graduation will be in the month of May. So
Okay, so March and May, we've got 6 months to prepare for your absence.
I'll continue to remind the group.
Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I was still on the Bussey report.
Dr. Thompson, trustee Smith-Thomas has some questions. I'm sorry. Could you please come back
No.
to the podium?
No question. She can actually stay where she is. I actually just wanted to give a compliment and thank you for the in-kind contributions and working on that. That was something that I requested at the last meeting, and I see you did follow up on that, so I want to thank you on that. And then I guess I did have a question as it relates to the Thanksgiving basket giveaway. Is that something you are looking for contributions or support from the board in any way, or individual support? Okay, all right. And I was gonna ask, yes, when is it taking place? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Sorry, I'm working on this conference meeting. Okay. Public participation. If you wish to address the board regarding a school-related issue that has not yet been resolved by school administration, please submit a comment card immediately. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. As a matter of fairness, speakers with complaints against individuals are asked not to mention any persons by name. Complaints concerning employees pursuant to Board Policy 9130 should be brought to the attention of school principals or other administrators before coming to the Board of Education. Your cooperation is appreciated. Dwayne Jones. Would you please state your address for the record?
7520 Harvard, Southfield. Really wanted to say, I appreciate what the things that are happening at the high school. I've been knowing Dave for a long time. A good man, done some good work. But I don't appreciate the fact that those that have complaints, for me, for instance, I'm placed first. Okay. Get me out of the way. It's the second time this has happened.
No,
No.
that's how your car
No,
comes
don't,
up.
okay, well, I want my time back. If we engage in a conversation, I want my time back. This is the second time it's happened that I've came up first, and there's no order to that, okay? And so I don't want to rain on any parade, but I'm not happy about that sort of thing. I don't appreciate the games that are played. When I first had a complaint, the first thing you want to do is send you off to somebody that doesn't have the authority to make any decisions about anything that's happening. So you run through the rickets. This part about communication is absolutely true. And I understand what the board and the parents are going through. That's the first thing you should happen. I've called this office and nobody even knew when the next board meeting was. The secretary didn't know. So there is a big problem with communication. And so all this about when you have a complaint, an initial complaint, someone will meet you outside at the door and say, call me tomorrow morning, I'll tell you what we're doing, all this stuff. If an issue is brought up in public, it should be handled in public. Today was the first time that we've heard from the high school about what they're doing. They're doing some pretty good things. But all this game playing doesn't work. And I wanted to make certain that that was stated. But I also wanted to say that what they're doing is some pretty good things. there is all of a sudden now some accountability to this organization, to the school district. Before, I felt like there was nobody being held accountable for anything. But now I seem to see a little shift, and that's a positive thing. That's positive. That it looks like someone is being held accountable, whereas they weren't being held accountable before. We would bring an issue to this board, and nobody would say anything. In the next month, nothing would be said. And we're talking about issues of all the things that we've talked about before. All the fighting, all the guns, all the kids getting tased in the hallway, tased in the parking lot. And so all of a sudden now there's some movement. That's good. I'm going to be able to say, I'm big enough to say when there's something positive happening, that we'll go with something that's positive. And so that's one of the things. There should be some reporting from not only the high school, but from this board as well in the administration that should be held accountable for what happens in this district. Not to put someone up there that's at that level, which is good. And the evidence that we have, some of it was empirical, but some of it was anecdotal. And so if you don't measure things, things don't get changed. All this Plante Moran stuff, that's great. That's good. You know, it'll be nice and cute, and we'll put it on the shelf. But who's going to be accountable for implementing those things? It's nice to say that we have it, but when is it going to be implemented? And who's going to be accountable for implementing this great plan that Plante Moran is going to come up with? And so I just want to close saying that I see some things happening positive, but I'm going to be one that's going to keep the fire burning. And some of the things are just your reasonable service that we want to celebrate. That's your reasonable service. All these rudimentary things that are basic and fundamental, yes, that's fine, but that's your reasonable service. Let's go above and beyond because the kids deserve more. One last thing, we need a deep dive.
I did give you your time back.
We need a deep dive into enrollment.
I did give you your time back.
Where are these kids? Where are the kids coming from?
We're over 30 seconds. So
The
if
kids
you're
that are
not
in
going
the
to
district,
respect
how
the
many kids have we
podium,
lost?
please have a
And
seat.
how can we get those kids back, finding out
And
why
then we
those
talk
kids
about our
lost,
kids.
left? All those things need to be done. I know I got 3 minutes.
You've
Last
been
time I was
over it.
here, I didn't speak, and when there was someone patting everybody on the back, there was no closure. They could talk as long as they want to, but when someone has concerns, you want to get them off in 3 minutes.
Come on, let them go. Talk about the children. It's the example. Deisha Robinson, would you please state your name and your address, please? Thank you.
I am a fifth grade parent in university, so I appreciate your remarks. And I hope to hear some positive things tomorrow at this meeting at 5:30. I did get a remind message from, I would think it was from Dean Bowden. She did give us a remind to set up a couple of weeks ago when we failed to get I thought it was the second teacher, but apparently it was the third teacher who didn't show up. So that was very disappointing because we waited for 2 weeks for that teacher to come, day after day after day. And then we just found out yesterday that we have another long-term substitute in that classroom. I hope we don't have the same issues with this long-term substitute that we had with the previous one. Nice enough lady, but she did not have control of the classroom. The kids were disruptive almost every day. My daughter came home frustrated every day by all the noise, the behavior problems. I tried to address that multiple times. I've sent multiple emails. It's never been addressed, never been addressed. And now I hope this new substitute can do a better job, but I know she's only been there a couple of days. I know she's a pretty young person, but my daughter's already said the class was loud today, and she didn't get any work done. So I'm already hearing the same issues again. So I want to be hopeful, but I'm definitely concerned. In this school year, we've had this issue every year with a teacher not being here, and I know you can't control all these things, but we always have a couple of teachers that are missing at the beginning of the school year. I know that's not your problem, but I asked at the beginning of the school year what was in place from Dean White to help these kids with the resources they need to get the education they need. I never received any good answers from her. I know you sent out an email back on September 26th saying that the guest teachers were getting support and these coaches, math and literacy coaches. That didn't happen in our fifth grade classroom. I sent emails. I also sent emails to the board, superintendent, to the president. I never got any responses. I talked to Dean Bowden about it, And she said she was not familiar with or whatever was being spoken of in this email, and she could not confirm that any of that was happening in our fifth grade classroom. And that was back at the beginning of September, end of September. I asked to have my child moved from the class back in September when I saw things wasn't improving. She was frustrated every day. I was told that wasn't possible. I learned yesterday that 2 kids were moved out of that class. And now asked, okay, well, how did they get moved? Because my daughter was told she couldn't get moved. I was told it wasn't a school decision, but it was a district level decision. There are like, I think 15 boys and 8 girls in this classroom, and the behaviors are out of control. And I'm trying to understand, who do I need to talk to? Because apparently you can make it happen. So who do I need to talk to get my child moved from that classroom? Because apparently it can happen, because you made it happen from 2 other parents, and I'm not understanding how that was possible when I was told no.
Yeah, because I responded to we're going to ask if you could put your your email address. I'm actually looking at my emails now. On the back of that paper, the one that you used, please, and then could you provide it back to us? Thank you.
And that was back in September,
Oh, yeah, understood. Renee Finley. Ms. Finley, would you please state your address for the record?
Address 24537 Templar. I just want to say hello. I am the new president of the Southfield A&T PTSA.
Good evening.
As they stated earlier, when all of our... And I just wanted to let you all know, because I came in last month, I didn't really get a chance to speak. There was a lot of things that popped off at the beginning of the school year, but we've also had a lot of amazing, wonderful things going on. They reported on all the good things with the homecoming, the open house, the PTSA was instrumental in all of those things. And I just want to let you all know, the parents, we see you. We see the change in the school, and they are happy about it. They're pleased about it. I just want to remind you all that you need parents. The type of caliber and the type of children and atmosphere that you want in the school, you need the parents to get that there. You need parents on board. And I have over 50 parents that want to be involved, that want to be helpful, that want to see what's going on inside the school. I'm up there all day, every day. I'm involved with the sports. So I do see the atmosphere change. I do see the change in the students, and it's all good. It's all wonderful things, and I just want to say we appreciate you all for that. You picked a wonderful administrative team in A&T. They're putting in the hard work. They're answering the questions. It's just that we need to start making avenues for parents to be involved. Transparency is a good key, and it helps out with the communication gap. And that's what we want to do on the PTSA, is to help you all with the communication gap. We want to be on board with the teachers. They have our students for 8, 9, my son, 12 hours out the day because he does sports. So we want to be involved. We want to see what's going on. And we also want to be held accountable for our children as well, for their behaviors. But we don't know if we can't get in the building to see what's going on. With that being said, my son is a sophomore at the school. You guys did attest to the staffing problems. He is on his 2nd year at the school without having a full schedule of teachers. He has 2 classes with no teachers this year. He had 2 classes with no teachers last year. You know, we like to keep the parents, and we like to keep the community involved in what's going on, and you know, bring the pride back into the school, bring the love back into the school with the community. But it's hard to do that when we're not providing the basics, which are teachers. You know, as of now, we've talked about every open position in the school, but my son still doesn't have a science teacher. We did not speak about that tonight. There's no science teacher at Southfield A&T. So that's just something I just, you know, would like to bring to the light. That is something that's needed. But as well, like I said, the PTA is here. We're on board. We would like to be helpful. And the parents appreciate everything that's being done. And we see the change, and it's good. That's all.
Thank you. Dana McKissick, would you please state your address for the record?
Dana McKissick, 27189 Arlington Drive, Southfield 40776. Okay, so I wasn't completely ready to speak, but I have a whole lot of notes of things to say. I am a university parent. I'm a parent of that 5th grade class that we've heard a whole lot about. Some of the things that I wanted to read is that once I received a phone call that my son was hit in the head during that class, I asked for an incident report. I didn't receive an incident report. He played outside during recess, and he came home with scratches over his face and on his neck. I asked for an incident report. I did not receive an incident report. I've asked him, do you have homework? I finally got a yes, but he does not have homework all the time, or he hasn't had homework all the time. He said, we have a lot of teachers that had to visit our class today, but as soon as they leave, they're back acting up. Another one is I said, Carter, what did you learn today? He said nothing, but at least the class acted better. It is so disappointing. Quite honestly, when he did not have a teacher at first, I did not find a concern for it at first because I graduated from Southfield High. I live here, my family is from here, so my trust is in the district. So I'm like, they will figure this out, they will get it together. This is November, and this is my first time speaking at a board meeting because I'm at a point now where my trust is no longer in this district. This is actually the first time where I'm like, dang, do I need to pull my children out of this school because they can't get it together? And they still are expected to teach, to take MSTEP. How is he supposed to be prepared for that? He still has to work hard, and it might not come easy, but it really is the district's and their responsibility to provide that stability for that class. He should not be getting hit in his head during that classroom. It's ridiculous. So 5th grade teacher. I'm wondering, what does a report card look like with no teacher? I'm wondering, what does this parent-teacher conferences look like with no teacher? You were online with virtual, but they had no meeting. They were just posted online. So that what it looks like with no teacher. What does teaching look like with no teacher, with continuous disruptions and behavior problems? And then I can't even get a report to know what is actually going on in this class. It's better, but it's not good, and that is acceptable for him. So what are you teaching him about what's acceptable for him? So, new administration, it's a lot. It's just taking on a lot. The lack of communication. I've sent the email. I've sent a remind, I think last Wednesday. I've sent the email last Wednesday. I have not gotten anything back yet. And I did have the same thing about, oh, we're no longer accepting people to switch, but other kids have switched out of that class. I didn't ask in September because you have my trust. I don't want to be the one who's stuck in that class because you're the one that lost my trust. That's all.
Janae Anderson. Please state your address for the record.
My name is Janae Anderson. My address is 21145 Independence Drive, Southfield 48076. My students, my children go to university, but they are not in the 5th grade class. My son is in the 3rd grade class, and my daughter's in the 1st grade class. This school year, my daughter has been spit on in her face. I was not called. They didn't even give her anything to wipe her face because they said the spit was not visible. My son, somebody walked up to him in the lunchroom and took his food while he was eating it and ate his donuts and said, because I wanted them. The next day, gave my son $2 and said, this is for the donuts. I won't do that to you again. All this was reported to the dean at the time, and I hear about all of this at dinner. The school never calls. My son has been called a bitch, a nigga. He's been punched. He's been hit in the face with a coat. Nobody has said anything to me except him. And what he said was, take me out that school because they don't support me. So I told my son, the school has a legal responsibility to support you academically, emotionally, and physically. Nobody has a right to put their hands on you, and you have a legal right to respond in kind to what's being forced upon you. Why are we here? Because this is a problem. There's no communication, there's no accountability. If my son was a fighter, you would find me. You would call. No one has called. He's not a fighter. So, but he does not deserve to be bullied. He does not deserve it, and if the school won't respond, now I'm here. Somebody's got to do something, or I'm gonna start making police reports, I'm gonna start filing lawsuits, because my child is not going to be mistreated in this school district. There is no communication, none. The teachers are great. It's at the administration level, because all this happens at lunch when the teacher is not there. Nobody can see the cameras, whatever they show, don't show. The boy told, when they talked to the student a week later, it took them a week to even talk to the boy that took his food, and he said he didn't do it. So they told my son, you're unsubstantiated. Where the $2 at? The dean was still holding it. Yep, that's where we are. As far as the parent-teacher conference, I got an email from my son's teacher saying, can you move your conference to Tuesday? I didn't get anything from the school, but the teacher did send something to us to say, hey, can y'all come to Tuesday? But nothing came out from the school, so Ms. Belk is correct. But it's a problem, and it's not just in the 5th grade, and I'm not happy.
Thank you. I need this one. Action items. Consent agenda, the approval of minutes. So to the parent that came, the 2 incident reports, I'm gonna ask that, Mr. Jackson, for one of y'all, just transparency, I have your number. And so you can choose to talk to Mr. Jackson, but you and I can have a conversation. To Ms. McKissick, because I don't have your information, could you please talk to Mr. Jackson and give him your information, your phone number and your email address, your child's name? And I'm assuming we know which 5th grade class your child is in. If you have the dates of which any of this happened, since you did not receive an incident report, I would like to be fair to ask the school if they did anything just on their end and you just didn't receive it. So if you have the dates in which these things happen, would you please provide them to Mr. Jackson? He's sitting right there, and we'll get your information, okay? Thank you. Action items, consent agenda, approval of minutes, October 15th, 2024, special board meeting, student hearings, October 22nd, 2024, special board meeting, study session, closed session. Is there a motion on the floor?
I motion that we open.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Ball.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Holloway.
Yes.
Trustee Blair.
Yes.
Trustee Belk.
Yes.
Motion carried. I'm going to ask the board if you will give me the opportunity to respond to 2 things. The first of which is the order in which we receive public participation cards, if it be your wish. First things first, there is no rhyme or reason to how we address public participation. You give them to Ms. Foster and she hands them down. I never want anyone in this audience to think, because quite frankly, it would be easier for us to put the very bad stuff last, quite frankly. Okay, so I do want to address that, because there is no collusion, there is no game plan. Anybody that knows me, I say something real, it's something I live by. You play stupid games, you're going to get stupid prizes. I don't play stupid games. So how you present or give your public participation card, it is strictly handed down and it stays right here. So that's number 1. Number 2. Let me go ahead and address this university thing. As a parent of a graduate of university who went through Imagine 2020, So I saw how they merged both the schools, put us in Southfield High. It was a debacle. It was horrible. Nobody liked it. And then my son graduated and got a full tuition scholarship to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I absolutely adore that building. I love what Dean Williams did. I felt like she created a legacy, and those students created a culture along with the parents of excellence. What is happening to it now is unacceptable. To hear about 2 students having physical altercations and there was no incident report is extremely troubling, because our policy states that's a policy thing. So that's not just a building thing. Our policy states. So if your children reported that they were physically, and I'm going to use the word assaulted, then we do have an obligation to you. So if it's not getting done, please understand from here on out it will be. Some of you may know that I go into that building often. I walk it. I go to the lunchroom, and I'm going to say I walked in the beginning of the school day recently, and I saw a teacher that many of you probably are familiar with, Miss Ira Benson, holding them kids accountable. And I thanked her for being there. So what I can say is I think your teachers are seeing a gap and they're trying to fill it. They shouldn't have to fill it alone. What I also will say is that what I said about the 4 people that stood up here, leadership is a skill. I truly believe you're born with it, and all you can do is continue to refine it. It's not easy to find a synergy. You gotta find people that work well together and really want to have a relationship with their parents and their students. And that's what we are working to get in that building. But I also need you all to know that this board, you all do not see us on a day-to-day basis. And so the pieces that come to us, we do address, and we try to address them in real time. So what was said here about physical altercations will be no more. It won't work. So to the young lady, spitting on somebody is nasty business. It really is, and I am shocked. Yeah. So we will make sure that an incident is reported, filled out. Parents should be getting not only the incident report, but a phone call. So when your baby comes home, you know before they walk in, because sometimes it's just you meeting them at the door with a hug to say, I know you had a hard day, right? Because sometimes kids don't always want to speak up about that stuff because it's embarrassing to them. And so this will be taken care of tonight, and you will get some phone calls regarding this situation. As far as the unrest on that campus, you know, it's crazy. The irony of it, it was the other high school that had all the people coming to the podium just a year ago. And so it's clear that there is some work that needs to be done, and so we're going to do the work, and we're going to get it done. So to Ms. Robinson, Ms. Anderson, Ms. McKissick, we will reach out to you. Ms. Robinson, I do have your email, and I did respond, but I responded to the superintendent to follow up so I could get you an answer. And we don't have a teacher yet. So I do apologize for that, but I will share that with you. I don't want you to feel ignored. So that's where we are. I saw some of the trustees' faces as the parents were talking, and it's just, I don't even have the words right now. So we'll work on making something happen moving forward. But I do want to make it very clear that public participation is, you just hand us a card and we read it off. Nobody alters it in any way. So we have Report 6327, the Personnel Action Report. Is there a motion on the floor to open and approve it?
I motion That we open and approve report 6327, personnel action report.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Trustees, you have it in your binder. I'll give you a moment to take a look. Is there any discussion?
I would like to lift something regarding the personnel report.
Sure.
Number one was a move that happened last year. That individual was temporarily placed in a building and then immediately went back to their prior building. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record. This is just for record-keeping purposes that it is noted.
Trustees, is there any discussion surrounding the personnel action report? Hearing none. Board Secretary, whenever you're ready, please call for the vote.
Trustee Belk,
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Holloway,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
myself, yes, Trustee Ware Duval,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. Thank you. Report 6328, Southfield Alumni, Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Resolution. Trustees, as we invited different organizations out to participate in our school safety forum, a letter was sent by the Southfield Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. They are having a community event, and groups have been asked to come and support them in their 40 years. We have a resolution considering that, as do many of our D9 organizations, that the Southfield Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has been a huge supporter of Southfield Public Schools. It's undeniable, quite frankly. A member of Southfield Alumni Chapter was my math tutor, and she was a teacher at Levy Elementary, so that's how long and how far that legacy goes back. The resolution is as follows. Resolution recognizing the contributions of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. The Southfield Board of Education hereby resolves, let it be known that the Southfield Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, or SAC, was chartered on November 17, 1984. Due to the vision and efforts of 31 women, SAC became the 738th chapter of the sorority, the first African-American Greek letter organization to be established in the city of Southfield, Michigan, and one of the city's first African-American women's organizations. Today, SAC has grown to more than 500 members. For well over 2 decades, the chapter has had a long-standing partnership with the Southfield Public Schools. We are honored and proud to recognize their loyalty and devotion to educational excellence and public service. Our community, its schools, and its students have benefited from their service and will continue to do so for years to come. Whereas, SAC has been an active participant in the district's annual back-to-school fairs, providing needed school supplies to thousands of students as they prepare their upcoming school years. Whereas, SAC has shown up in great numbers annually to clap in our students on the first day of school at multiple campuses throughout the district. Whereas, SAC has operated their Delta Enrichment program at Adler Elementary School, providing tutoring services to students from throughout the district as well as surrounding communities. Whereas SAC has recognized the hard work and dedication of our instructional staff during the annual Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas SAC has upheld their annual tradition of adopting a family during the Christmas season. Whereas SAC continues to be an active participant in the district's annual Reading Month events within Southfield schools. Now therefore be it resolved that the Southfield Public Schools District's Board of Education thanks the Southfield Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for their legacy of commitment and professionalism. The Southfield Board of Education appreciates the dedication and belief in the district's students that has manifested itself in all elements of their work. There can be little doubt that this impact of outstanding organization will continue to reap rewards for the students and residents of Southfield for years to come. Is there a motion to open and approve Report 60 through 28, Southfield Alumni Chapter of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Resolution.
Motion.
Support?
It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Weidevall? Yes. Myself, yes. Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway?
Yes.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Buck?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Information items, Report 6329. This is a bond project number 54, Stevenson Playground demolition.
Thank you, Board President. Joining us this evening is Mr. Dan Anderson. He's been missing from the last few meetings. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
This is the bond proposal to demo the playground equipment at Stevenson. Specifically, if you recall, we had some inquiries from some of the neighbors around Stevenson regarding the passing of through the property and the property being fenced off. The property is still fenced off for construction as required by the code. However, we are escalating the removal of the playground equipment to ensure that when we are able to reopen the property, that the equipment, as it currently stands in its hazardous condition, will be removed from the property. Does that pretty much sum up everything, team? Okay.
Correct.
So we are taking down basically the playground. We're making progress.
We are.
It is. Trustees, are there any questions for our crew? Hearing none. This is an information item. Dr. Green, is there anything that needs to be moved to action?
Given that we don't have the study session this month due to the holiday, if it's the pleasure of the board, we would appreciate us moving the work forward.
So trustees, this is number 54 on our, I believe that we had a whole line item list of things that were happening at Stevenson. Am I to understand
This is
that
bid
this is
pack number
bid pack number 4?
54.
Okay, got it. Bid pack number 54. Trustees, Dr. Green has asked that we make this item actionable due to not having a study session and wanting them to continue the work. Is there a motion on the floor?
So move.
Thank you, trustee.
Support?
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion regarding 6329?
Is this the expected cost, or do we?
It is.
Okay,
It is the expected cost for the demo only,
okay,
demo and removal.
okay. And we're looking to possibly spend less than this, though, right?
That is the actual bid award.
That's the actual bid award, yes.
That's the award, okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Trustees, is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Belk?
Yes.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway? Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Weidevall? Yes. Unanimous.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Report 6330, thank you both. Report 6330, IDEA resolution.
Thank you, Board President. The IDEA resolution, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, will be 50 years old next year, and as we continue to advocate for the full funding of IDEA at 40%, which was promised 40 years ago, we have yet to arrive at the 40% reimbursement at the district level. Currently, we are fluctuating between 12 and 14% from the federal government 50 years later. That being said, what they do not cover, we are obligated and legally bound to cover out of the district's general fund. So this is a letter of support to continue advocating for full funding of IDEA at the federal level.
Dr. Green, are you asking for something this evening?
Board President, if it's the pleasure of the board, I'm asking that all items that are informational be moved to that of action due to our limited meetings for the duration of the year.
Understood, and IDEA is something that we do support on a continuous basis. Trustees, is there a motion to open and approve Report 6330?
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Board Secretary, whenever you're ready, please call for the vote.
Trustee Reservoir.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Holloway.
Yes.
Trustee Bland.
Yes.
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion carried. Report 6331, access to control upgrades.
Thank you, Board President. This evening, I will ask for Matt, and we lost Allison this evening, to come up and speak to us. Matt is one of our consultants with Communications by Design. They are working on our bond project on our behalf, and this evening, he is going to discuss the process that led to the recommendation for our access control upgrades. Matt?
Good evening.
Good evening, Southfield Public Schools Board of Education. I wanted to take a minute to give you guys an idea about what we're looking to do with the access control upgrades throughout the district. This is a phase 1 implementation upgrade. There will be a few phases to this, but I'm going to start with this to give you guys an idea about what this particular package includes. For those of you who don't know, the access control system in the buildings is your card reader system, or your ability to remotely unlock doors, as well as monitor the status of individual doors if they're open or closed. As part of the bond team, we were requested to provide a proposal for, provide a bid to get proposals for an access control system upgrade in the district to monitor your exterior doors, as well as improve your quantity of access control openings, how many doors throughout the exterior of the building you're able to remotely schedule, unlock, as well as unlock with the presentation of a badge. This particular package includes addressing specific buildings based on where they're at in the construction process. For example, Adler, we've already moved past the construction phase, so we'd be retrofitting that building to match what the expectation would be going forward. So you'd be improving the quantity of doors throughout the exterior of the building that would have access control, as well as monitoring the remaining doors that are not being outfitted with a full access control system, so we're able to tell if that door is closed or open at any given moment. This also would include outfitting Stevenson, Thompson, Levy, and Bernie with the similar method based on where they're at in the construction phase. This would be in conjunction with construction. So it'd be a partnership as those buildings are going through their construction phases. We'll be implementing this system there. And then upgrading the remaining buildings, their current access control system, to match the standard that exists today on a new platform. So your current doors that are out there that currently have access control on them, we would be moving them to a new platform. And that's what this particular package includes. We did open bids on September 19th for this particular, we issued the bids on September 19th. We opened them on October 15th. We received 4 bids for the category of access control. We received 4 for the category of low voltage systems. Those are to support each other. And we have a recommendation for 2 specific vendors for those particular projects. Our recommendation is that we award the low voltage category to Nerds Express for $38,427.90, and then award the building access systems category to Moss Telecommunications for $369,909.15. A lot of information at you guys, and I want to give you a moment to kind of process that, as well as ask me questions about specifics throughout the process of this project.
So I would ask the board to remember, because doors are a security issue, that if we could keep the questions more general, and then if we have any specific questions about how things work, and whens and whys, we can send that through email, just because it...
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Trustees, do we have any questions this evening?
My question is this a district, would this be a district-wide project, meaning the costs would cover the district, or?
To a certain extent, yes, it would.
Okay.
It would cover the first phase of doing a district-wide implementation. We would be, district-wide, you would have a new access control system. The Quantity of doors that would be part of that system will differ based on where the building is in the construction phase. Yeah, and the size of the building. So really what this does is for 4 buildings, this will be their final state of access control for the time being, and then the rest of the buildings will get a minor upgrade today to bring their current system up to a new standard while receiving later work down the road as construction goes through.
So the later work you mentioned, would that be inclusive in this cost?
No, that there is a design process that have to go through before we can really determine what that cost would be.
You have to have the designs from the architects in order to that work out. So like you couldn't do it for university on a design scale until it get built. So we will come back to the table. But they will get an upgrade towards it. 4 would be closed out completely based on this amount.
Yeah, Adler, Stevenson, Thompson, Burney, Levy would be the final state. The rest of the buildings would just get an upgrade of what is currently there. We would not be increasing the quantity of access control openings throughout the buildings that are there today. We're just moving it to a new platform in preparation of doing that as construction goes through and giving it a similar treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell me if some of the technology is backwards compatible or to be brought forward?
Sure, so some of the pieces that are there today are compatible with the new system. What we're looking to implement is a open architecture platform, meaning that if we did make a decision 3-5 years down the road, we would be able to move to a new platform. They're industry standards that we're looking to implement. We're not looking to implement any proprietary equipment, which is mostly what's there today. So we're looking to be able to have some flexibility moving forward.
Trustees, any other questions? None? Board Secretary? You heard Dr. Green's request to make Report 6331 actionable. Is there a motion on the floor?
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Board Secretary, whenever you're ready.
Trustee Belk? Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway? Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Weatherball?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion carried. Thank you. So we have the financial report and the monthly bill disbursement report. So a couple of things regarding these two. We have somebody sneeze. That was, yep. So I think for the financial report and the monthly bill disbursement, we need to have a committee of the whole meeting to discuss before the organizational meeting and the retreat what exactly we want our treasurer to report out on, right? We need to have that discussion. Right now, for those of us who, even for a finance person, it's a bit cumbersome, right? Mark, you know this stuff inside and out because that's how your brain works. We appreciate you. But for the next board treasurer, I think that as a board, we need to set some ground rules for what we're looking for and what we want to report out for. Based on what I've been hearing, and I have asked for Treasurer Belk to meet with Mr. Ingram regarding this. I do want to point out that over the last 5 days, you probably aren't aware, but Treasurer Belk has had a very substantial death in her family, and I did not expect her to even be here tonight. So I am asking that as we run through, we have no study sessions in November or December. I would like to have a committee of the whole meeting between our December and January meeting at some point in time. that committee of the whole meeting needs to surround ourselves with how we want, I think we've gotten a much better structure to the meeting, but it's particularly about our financial report and the bill disbursement. Before we have an organizational meeting, we need to decide on what we want and what the responsibility looks like, so that the next person, or if Treasurer Belk decides that she wants that seat again and is nominated, there's an expectation. So I am asking that on your own, you did go through that financial report and the bill disbursement, get familiar with it, and then we have a few dates for the retreat and committee of the whole that we'll be sending out, but we do need to decide on that. So I'm asking if you have any questions right now regarding it, if you can email them along with anything you may have regarding security or things of that nature, and then we will send out those dates and we'll get that committee of the whole meeting together. So that is my ask for that this evening. For the good of the order, does anyone have anything? The only thing I have is, my only ask is that we continue to put factual information into atmosphere. I think what Southfield A&T did was very good because it gave you data points to reference and you have the packet. The second thing I would ask is that we continue to review our policies. Kudos to Ms. Foster. She's going through them all right now. So she is working in tandem with us to go through them. Thank you to the trustees who have sent their submissions regarding the policies that I had lifted earlier and some that I had not. That is a retreat process. So our retreat is going to be on a Saturday, and it is going to be driven on doing what we did in that committee of the whole meeting where we strictly went through policy. So we'll take what we've been given here. Dr. Green and her team should be whittling their way through administrative guidelines. By that time, we should have some update on the Plante Moran standard operating procedures, and we should be able to start the work of actually having our policies reflect our community and the needs of it. And so that is more for the good of the order. I know we have a lot of things going on, a lot of holiday drives, a lot of games, and so I would say just tap into your schools and continue to reach out and be a support system. Was there anything else? Your delegate.
Oh. We were, Trustee Smith, our Secretary Trustee Smith Thomas and I were delegates for MASB delegates a couple weeks ago. Time is flying, I'm sorry. And we went over some of the policies in which they are rewriting and updating, and I mentioned them during our study session. And it was very interesting on how wording plays a big part in a lot of the policies, whether it is a thou or a they or a shall or a should. So there was quite a bit discussion, and we did manage to get through a lot of them. But thank you for entrusting Secretary Smith Thomas and I to do the work on that level during the delegate forum. Is there anything you would like to add? I'm sorry.
Future meetings. So Thursday, November 14th, we have our Southfield Public Schools in conjunction with the Area Council PTA Safety Forum featuring Chief Elvin Barron at 6 o'clock. That will take place at Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology. On Monday, November 25th, the Festival of Lights will be taking place featuring the Southfield A&T Marching Band at 5:30. We are on holiday break between November 27th and November 29th. Please don't send your kids to the bus stop or to school. We won't be there. Thursday, November 28th, our children are performing in America's Thanksgiving Parade. That's huge. That is really, really huge. So kudos to them. For any of you who are going to be out there, put your stuff on, support them, watch them on TV. That'll be nationally televised, so congratulations to them. And then on December 10th, we are back for our next regular board meeting. And all of our board meetings are posted on our website. They're the second Tuesday of every single month except for July at 7 p.m. They happen right here in this building. It has not changed. Second Tuesday, every month, 7 p.m. Thank you all. We are adjourned at 9:49.